Hey guys, I don't know.
Hey, everyone.
I don't know if I like that new intro that I made. I don't know. I like the other one because it's more upbeat. I don't know. What do
Right.
you guys think? I have to tweak it still, but I think I'll just tweak it. I think I'll play with it still. Anyways, every now and again you have to like change, but happy Friday, everybody.
Happy
and
Friday.
yeah, honestly, I have to remind myself that it's Friday. And yeah, tonight we're going to talk about Rex Heuermann. We're going to watch that press conference. We'll talk about that. We're going to talk about Rachel Morin, of course. That's the mother of five who lost her life on the trail. And then, of course, we're going to get into the JonBenet case. Yeah, I changed my whole thinking again.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. you know I've been becoming addicted to watching as much JonBenet Ramsey as I possibly can, but still knowing that there's still a lot that I haven't looked at.
Right.
um well, just quickly, and hey everyone, but just quickly, I didn't realize, because I had watched this documentary like a few years back, but I didn't realize that Laura Richards from Crime Analyst was actually one of the people that was involved in that kind of like the recreation of those Dr. Lee and all that, the top forensics and
Hmm.
stuff like that that we're trying to go through it. I think it was 6 years ago. It was that they had gathered
Looks like right.
together. Yeah. But I didn't realize Laura Richards actually until I was like, wait, I know that voice, because I know Laura Richards from seeing her on Grizzly True Crime. And,
Okay.
she's a very good profiler. Like, she really is. I love her voice. She's British, but she has like this very soft voice, but she's very, what do I want to say? She's just a very good profiler when you're listening to her. Like, meaning, I love people that when you're listening to them, that they're very grounded, level-headed, and make sense.
Right.
And she's just very fluent and fluid, and when she's talking.
Right.
Yeah. Hey,
And it's
Sherry.
not it's not all and it's not all ego.
And it's not what?
And it's not all ego.
Right. My Siri keeps going off for some reason. I think I must have said something that's setting it off. Anyways, hey you guys. Let's see here. Callie girl's in the house. Hey Callie girl. What? Oh, I feel like I'm blurry. I'm blurry. I'm going blurry. One sec. Actually, can you say some hellos there, Adam?
Yeah.
Do, and I'm just gonna fix my camera thing.
Hey, Callie. Hey, Mustang. Hey, Jamie. Hey, Shelly. Good to see you. Thank you for your messages. Hey, Sharon. Good to see you. Uh-oh, it's a crime and shame. I think Sunny said hi to Callie, but I'll say hi to Callie. Streamers in the house. Hey, Lacey. Oh, Lacey, you take your daughter off to college tomorrow. You're not old enough to have a daughter in college. You're only 25. Daisy says the handwriting analysis so far and Gary's confession have me feeling hopeful he's the guy. Daisy, I've got to disagree with you on that one. I don't think Gary.
What Daisy say?
Daisy said the handwriting analysis so far and Gary's confessions have me feeling hopeful he's the guy.
Oh, I'm gonna
I
have to strongly disagree.
I
Yeah,
love you,
on that
Daisy,
one.
but I don't. I think Gary is obsessed with JonBenet, but I don't think he had anything to do with the crime.
For many reasons, to be honest with you. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey
But
Mustang. Hey Sherry. Oh, sorry, Sonny.
no, I was just gonna say, but that's the joy of everything, right? Is that again,
Absolutely.
just like Daisy, Adam, like this case is really the John Bonet one, honestly, it's a mind meld F is what it is. And so I get it,
Yeah.
but there are quite a few good reasons why it doesn't make sense. But anyways, go back to your hellos there.
Yeah. Hey Sherry Kraus. Good to see you. Hey Diana. There's Meme Helen. Good day, Sonny and Adam. Hope everyone is doing well today. Going to sit back with a nice hot chocolate on this cold winter
Oh,
Saturday.
hot
Because remember,
chocolate.
Helen's in Australia, so
Love hot chocolate.
yeah. Sharon, I am home right now.
Yeah, what's wrong with you, Adam?
I know. Hey Fibro.
At least you're not pixelated today.
Yeah, well, fingers crossed, right?
Yeah.
I think the other day, I think because the power had been out, so I think the internet just wasn't
Maybe.
back
Yeah.
fully yet. Hey CJK, good to see you. I think that is. Did I say? Oh, hey Debbie Johnson. And I think that is it.
Sweet. Okay. Um, so hey guys, thanks again for joining the live. Again, it's Friday. I totally forget my days. Husband has to work tomorrow actually. So um that's why I kind of keep thinking that it's not Friday yet. But anyways, it is. So okay. My power
Oh,
almost
I
just
did
died.
miss. I did miss one. Sorry. Hey Boston Christian
Hey Boston, how are you? And hey
and
everyone.
Daniel.
Yeah, and
Okay,
it was Daniel in the house. Did you say Daniel?
Daniel Morton.
Oh, okay. Hi, Daniel Morton. Um, yeah, so again, the John Bonet case is definitely a case that this channel is going to be following, or I shouldn't say following, but we're going to be doing definitely a bunch of lives, and I'll be doing some videos. And if Adam does videos on his channel or whatever, it's totally up to him what he's doing over there. Either way, going back into it, it's actually, I want to say it's a little bit exciting because
It
it's a
is.
case that, like I said, we knew about, and we're not going to talk about this one first in the show. We're going to go into that one last because I want to do that one longer again.
Yeah.
But it is a case that, for me, it means a lot because, I'm a 69 baby, and this happened in 1996, and it was around the time of the OJ case. And it was the two cases that distinctly stand out always in my head is John Bonet's case and the OJ Simpson case. And he should be in prison for a lifetime himself over there. But anyways, so it means a lot to me. So going back into this one and truly listening and looking at what they have and having like all these years to kind of go back and see what people have done and said and stuff like that. In this case, like I said, it keeps getting brought up all the time, whether it's through tabloids and, every year that goes by, it's like year number 27, you know, um, John Bonet just turned, she would have turned 33 on August 6th,
Wow.
which just went by. I know, isn't it? Like, honestly, I can never believe that the year is kind of like, I'll say the 2001 event. Don't want to hit YouTube, but the 2001 event and stuff, you just can't believe how long time has gone by.
Right.
And
Well,
it's just
even
like,
Delphi.
yeah,
Even Delphi. When we know that
I
that
bet.
we would have been 20 years old and turning 21 this December. That's so hard to believe because forever in our minds and hearts she'll be 14 years
Yeah.
old, and same with Abby. Would have
Yeah.
been 20 this year.
Well, and that's just it. Like I would almost like to see a program, put John Bonet's face into a program and see what she would have
18,
turned
19. Sorry.
turned into now from 6 years old to what a facial recognition would have put her at 33 now. Um, but anyways, so let's get started, and we're going to talk about Rachel Morin. If anyone doesn't know the case, it's about a mother of five that was on the Ma and Pa Trail out in Harford County, and that's in Maryland. And it's just such a tragic
Maryland.
case. What is it?
Maryland.
Oh, that's what I said, but I said it in my Canadian, I guess,
I
way.
know.
Okay. That's just kind of like Lafayette, Maryland. Did I say it right that time? Maryland,
Yeah,
Maryland,
Maryland.
Maryland. Okay, Maryland instead of Maryland, like I'm saying it like two words
Yeah.
type of thing.
Yeah,
Okay.
just kind of take the Y out. It's Maryland.
Oh, okay. So it's just silent. Okay. Right? The Y is
Yeah.
silent. Okay. Well, again, it's I always laugh because sometimes people get a little upset if you pronounce something wrong. But again, that's when I urge you to come over to Canada and say all of
Uh,
our provinces properly, and just like in the UK, sometimes people kind of give you crap sometimes when you say certain things wrong. And it's just like, well, I don't live on that side of the world in the UK. So I'm trying my best. And sometimes I go to that little voice thing. How do you say this?
yeah.
Because sometimes like some of those, Lancashire, all those ones
Well,
get a little bit
it
tongue
still drives me
twisty.
crazy when people say Delphi instead of Delphi.
Oh, Delphi, yeah, I even heard that recently actually. To do with that. So let me just hit share screen. We'll click on uh Rachel. So I put a video out the other day, and you know what? Maybe let me go to the channel, and maybe I'll play that video now that I'm thinking
Yeah.
about it. So let me do that. Uh,
It was difficult to hear how, the details of how she was found.
oh, yeah. You know what? I put out a TikTok, um, and I put out two TikToks on it, to be honest with you. And the one got like 7,000 and something views from the first time, the
Mhm.
before the other one. And the other one hasn't done quite as well, but it still has a few thousand views on it. And I decided I was going to put out three TikTok videos yesterday. I don't normally play with my TikTok too often. I don't know why, but I can't. I haven't ever really been excited about TikTok in a sense. Like it's because after I make a video, then I have to go back in and rechange it. I can leave it as the actual video. I can do that, but I don't know. It just seems like an extra step that
Right.
requires more time. But yesterday, for some reason, I was going, I think I'm gonna make a couple TikTok videos. but but I'll give this little update first. We'll just quickly do this here. And I'll bring it to the bigger screen just for a second. In this particular article, it is saying that the Maryland mom, Rachel Morin, was on multiple dating sites before Grisly homicide as new details emerge of her final hours. So this isn't going to say anything. This, you can tell it's just going to put up,
Yeah.
what do you want to call, notes or whatever, going across it. It's not going to actually talk. I know those type because I see them often enough. So it says the mother of five who was a victim of a grisly homicide on a hiking trail in Maryland. Sorry, did I say that wrong?
No,
Maryland.
you're good.
Maryland. Last Wednesday was using multiple dating apps prior to her disappearance, a source told the Post. Um, uh, on the afternoon of her death, Rachel Morin, 37, stopped at Glow, the bronzing studio on Red Pump Road in Bel Air for her daily spray tan at 2 p.m. Shocking. No. Um, a source close to the salon told the Post all employees that knew her and the late mother had revealed that to the staff she was on multiple dating sites prior to her death. However, that same week she had gone public with her romance with Richard Tobin, who was one of the last people to see her alive. And you can tell that the police aren't interested in him.
No.
Like he's not involved in her disappearance
No.
from what they're saying. So if anyone's on that kick, you probably might want to come off of it because the
Yeah.
police
I
are
got
they
that.
go
I
ahead,
got that
Adam.
impression. I got that impression as soon as I heard the police speaking about him. I was like,
Correct.
okay. When they said how they start close and when they work their way out, I immediately was like, oh, they don't know who this
Yeah.
was.
And then they specifically kind of talked about him.
Mm-hmm.
And just basically said, a lot of people have asked us about the boyfriend,
Yeah.
basically to say, okay, like we've already looked at him. Basically almost like to say he has nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
Um, reading between those lines because it was kind of clear that that's what they were saying. So it says Tobin, who has not been named as a suspect and helped raise the alarm about his new girlfriend's disappearance, had met up with her that afternoon. After touching up on her tan, Morin told salon workers she was heading off to the gym. Tobin confirmed in a now deleted Facebook comment that they went to the gym together. The post had since discovered that the couple went to Planet Fitness, where Morin and the black card holder who can use any of the company's facilities. So Tobin's home gym is in Rock Spring Road location, which is located around the corner from the tanning salon. But employees were unable to confirm if Morin had visited on Saturday, August 5th, the same day she went missing. And so she went there at around 2 p.m. If they're saying, and let's see here. An employee told the Post that Morin mainly used that Abingdon location, which is 8 miles up the road off the Bel Air bypass. When contacted, staff there referred the Post to the company's corporate team, who declined to comment. Tobin, who has since made his social media pages private, also revealed in a now deleted comment he dropped her off at her home shortly before 5 p.m. Morin then went to the hiking trail and was last spotted sometime between the hours of 6 to 7:30. Just to ask you, and chat as well, that are kind of following this case, Adam, do you feel that somebody knew that she was going to be there, and that it was like a pre-planned attack by someone that knew that she was going to be going on the hiking trail?
I mean, I've thought about that quite a bit, um, and the conclusion I come to is I just don't know enough details about her personal life, and it's not that I haven't looked into it. I just don't think that enough is known um, to make that to make that speculation. I mean, because my gut would tell me that I would, with the brutality of what happened to her, that you know it was specifically targeted because of her. But I started looking at old cases today of female joggers, and if you really think about it, there have been quite a few stranger stranger homicides when it comes to female joggers. Chandra Levy was one. I think, was it Molly Tibbetts? There's
Right.
there's a whole bunch of them. So I mean, this could have just been an opportunistic, sicko that saw her and took advantage of the fact that she was alone and jogging. I don't
You
know.
know, see, the what I'm gathering myself from the police is that because they released the crime scene rather quickly, and the way that Jennifer Coffindaffer spoke and the way that they were talking about it being targeted, I actually took it as that it was more of a personal attack
Right. And it
on
could be.
her by someone that seems to know her, and that's why I was thinking, okay, so maybe there's somebody that knew that she was going to be, at the walking trail, and that kind of pre-hid there in a sense. Now, JLR, somebody had put on a posting. JLR had actually gone to the Ma and Pa Heritage Trail,
Of course you did.
um, right? But so, um, let me just bring that picture. Hold on. I'm just going to show you what I'm just going to show you a picture. Stop present picture right here. Okay. So that is the tunnel is where she was found. I don't know if it was the left or the right. I honestly only watched the video just a little bit, and I kind of went right to the spot of the tunnels because again, she was she was brutally her life was brutally taken. But anyways, so let me go actually to the video that I have for shocking new discovery. So I'm going to hit stop, present. It's a criming shame. I'm going to click on this one here. And this is the video here.
Her kid mom. They gave her a driver.
No. What's this? Wait, what the heck? That. Okay. There we go. We're on the right screen now.
As your sheriff, I wanted to update all of you on where the investigation stands and what we are doing to keep our citizens safe. Currently, there are 10 investigators assigned to our Criminal Investigations Division.
I told my stepdaughter, I said, look, it's not going to be laying out in the open.
I want to listen to it from this point.
I had never walked it myself.
For Michael Gabrzeski,
I told my stepdaughter, I said, look, it's not going to be laying out in the open.
the Ma and Pa Trail in Bel Air, uncharted territory.
I said, she's going to be tucked away somewhere.
But the former National Park search and rescue officer has extensive experience tracking down missing people.
So basically, it's my passion to bring closure to that family by bringing her back and not having them wonder what happened.
Following reports, 37-year-old Rachel Morin left for a walk and never returned, Gabrzeski and his stepdaughter taking off on a search rooted on instinct.
I just kept seeing tunnels in my mind. I don't know why, but I just kept seeing tunnels.
Despite law enforcement swarming the area for almost a full day, Gabrzeski's stepdaughter locating the body in about an hour. The deadly discovery.
Once we got down there and I started seeing them tunnels, I started getting goosebumps.
Made in a tunnel drain not far from the trail's main entrance.
I saw a terrible mess.
Gabrzeski's visions meeting the reality of a gruesome scene.
There's not going to be an open casket, I can guarantee you that.
He says Morin's body found in a pool of blood, suffering severe head trauma, an injury he believes could be the result of a rock.
My daughter said that there was a big rock down there that was all caked in blood.
I understand many of you want answers, and we do too.
The latest update from the Harford County Sheriff's Department declining to mention how Morin died and not yet naming a suspect. This as Morin's boyfriend quickly taking to social media, proclaiming his innocence. Richard Tobin writing, quote, "I love Rachel. I would never do anything to her. Let the family and I grieve."
I mean, it could have been his way of grieving, but it's not about you. It's about her. It's about bringing her home. And somebody's mother, somebody's daughter. She left behind 5 children.
Whoever the killer is, Gabrzeski convinced it's someone with close ties to the victim.
Because it's too personal. If somebody were just to do a thrill kill, it wouldn't be as brutal as what we witnessed.
There we go. Okay. So correct, right? So sad. Found in a tunnel, nude, and like I said, her base. Well, I mean, he kind of summed it up when he said there's probably going to be no open casket.
Right. Well, I mean, not to be graphic, but I mean, the article I read said that her face was obliterated.
Yeah, this is personal to me too.
No, I think you might be. I think you might be right. I mean, like I said, either this was one that had an intense rage towards females in general, or a very specific hatred towards her.
Yes, like I feel like somebody had to have said that to me she was going to be there. Like somebody had to have known, whether she put it on her social media and said she was heading. You know how people are, right? They just TikTok away, they Instagram away, they,
Right. Instagram story,
away.
whatever.
Yeah, like, heading off to the hiking trails. And then again, there's that person. And Stefa, I'm not really sure who that troll is, but I'm going to allow you to stay in just for a little bit longer, only because you
Stefa.
said, yeah. I love Stefa. I know when I see this dude, whatever his name is, sorry, I can't remember. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I'd taken back. I was like, ooh, how do these people make it onto the news stations? And but they said he was like what was he? Like
Oh,
a
I can't remember. He used to be a
forestry ranger thing?
forest search and rescue
Yeah,
something.
yeah. I'm just trying to figure out, was that before the use or after the use? I don't
Yeah.
know.
Like, well,
But I couldn't help it too. I was making a TikTok video on well, no, we'll probably turn it yellow because YouTube's so strange. But anyways, it's so strange. But anyways, I made a TikTok video when I was doing that about that Moselle Martin. I was like, it's the L's, you know. Anyways, I thought it was kind of funny. But and then there was one person that said something, and I think she removed her comment though. But I was just like, grow a brain. Sometimes you just gotta go grow a brain, people. And
don't try
but
to grow
anyway,
a brain, John.
yeah, don't try to grow a brain, John. You see, like I said, that's an
I did.
expression, grow a brain. It's probably sticking in my head now, but it's not because of No Speed movie. It was because my grandma and my mom would say it. And I've said that multiple times. I might not have said it on here because I probably maybe no need to, or maybe I have already and don't even realize I did. But uh, grow a brain was something like when when people are basically idiots and you're just like, grow a brain, come on now. I do use that expression a lot now that I think about it. I just don't know that I've said it on here because it's nothing I thought to think about. um, People will point out the expressions I do say, like, but I noticed my twin sister says a lot of the same expressions I do as well. um, at the end of the day is one of them.
You say that one a lot.
Yeah, at the end of the day. And I noticed that my twin sister says it as well. So we must have heard that one growing up. But anyways, okay. So, hey, Deb, there's another troll. Deb came in.
No.
No. On there.
So I know there may be no connection to this, but I mean, I just heard today. Did you know another woman? It's about an hour away.
Yes.
Is missing. She doesn't fit the same profile at all.
Yeah.
But she's not been found. I can't remember her name right now.
I think I remember it.
She went missing a few weeks before.
Yeah, and if I'm remembering right, because I did not include it in the one video that I was doing. So if it's the same person, it was because it really was kind of like they were talking about Rachel's case, and then they were talking about this other woman's, and they were saying that they don't believe that those were connected. But I noticed like that, say JLR is going connected, but the police had said that they weren't,
And there were two bodies in the area prior this year.
Yeah, my grand. Right, so as a female, absolutely, I want to take this moment to say, please do never go by yourself on a trail, especially those ones that are in the woods alone. I remember I used to do that all the time on my bike. And then what happened is that there was a homicide on those same trails that I would go down. And basically it was some rugrat that was drifting, whatever, through town. And this girl was off to work, and she kind of can come off into the trails, and again she was killed. And so I remember I was riding my bike, because I would ride my mountain bike a lot through these trails that were just about a couple minutes from the house, from our home. And I remember I started having a panic attack for a second, and I started pedaling like you'd never seen anyone pedal before. And I all of a sudden got that flash of fear of realizing that
Follow
here
your
I was
gut.
by myself in the woods. And honestly, I could have been attacked at any moment by myself.
Right.
And it's stuff like that that kind of brings it back into perspective. And I never did go by myself again in those woods on the trails because normally I'm kind of like a fearless type person. It's just like, "Pfft, you know what? I'll kick them in the bees and whatever. Da 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 da. If no one's gonna come and attack me because your mindset is like you just kind of go around going, it's not gonna happen to me or whatever, and you know,
But you
and
always have to listen to that voice. That you always should listen to that voice in your head. If there's
yeah,
something telling you there's something wrong,
yeah.
listen to it.
Well, and again, you sometimes you just need something to, bring you back to the planet a little bit to remind you that these bad people are existent because people heard the girl that I'm talking about scream, but in our day and society now, when people hear a scream, most times they just go, shut up. You keep your voice down, you know, and that's kind of what they deemed it as. And
Right.
that's why they never thought nothing about it because they just thought that they heard something, and then it ended up being that this poor girl was killed on her way to work by some vagrant that was coming through town near the railroad tracks. And this, it's not like it's a small town. It's a suburb of Vancouver. And so it's a very busy road, very busy highway that's right there. Does a bear shit in the woods? Or
Thank you.
what's that thing? If a bear shits in the woods, I wish I was drunk.
Sally Super Chat, $5. Thank you.
To be honest, but I'll
Does a
have.
bear sit in the woods?
Right. And sadly,
Say something. Yeah.
it's easy to say,
I'm Shelley.
to go with someone else, but Libby and Abby in Delphi, they weren't alone, and it still happened to them. So
Yeah.
I mean, you can never guarantee something, but you're always going to be better off not being by yourself.
I was gonna say, for me, whenever somebody judged Abby and Libby being out there, okay, now if I personally knew that my child was gonna even attempt to cross the bridge, like I would be like Anna and be like, you know what I mean? But is it something that you think is abnormal? Absolutely not. They're 13
No, I
and
would have done it.
14. Shoot, at 7 and 8 years old, we were going a mile away from our homes and through tunnels to get to the, chocolate store, basically the little bunny store is what it was called and stuff like that. Um, Pauline, just quickly to answer you there, my twin will claim no. And I'm going to have to say, um, I don't think so. I don't think about it. I've lived away from my sister more than half of my life. Um, so I think like anyone, there's times that let me put it this way. Sometimes when we're talking, I don't realize that she's been thinking the same thing or da 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 da. But I think that kind of goes with anyone. But I really can't answer that one too well because I've lived away from my twin for at least a good half of my life. And we're totally two different people. I'd probably verge on the side of saying no, but I don't know for sure because it was never something that we did. Just because, again, maybe if we were living close to each other at the time, but I was totally in a different province for, twice I've left and gone away for like 10 plus years and then come back home. So my sister will say no, definitely, just because that's her way of thinking. I'm going to say I honestly don't know. I know that we're both very deeply intuitive, but I don't think that she realizes how intuitive she is because, again, it's kind of like if you have a positive energy and a negative energy, my sister realizes and knows that that I'm more of that spiritual person, that I'm just more of a free floater, free thinker type of idea. My sister, she's more logical and needs proof of things and stuff like that. I'm like a YOLO person. Um, so uh but yeah, so I don't really know. Like I couldn't even compare it to identical twins because we're not identical. We're fraternal, and we look nothing alike. And our similarities are both we're left-handed. We played sports and we can do crafts. Where other than that, we're totally opposite of each other. Absolutely 100% opposite. Um, but love her to pieces. Um, Sometimes there's some things in her that I wish that I was more like, and I know that there's definitely things in me that she wishes she was more like. And one of them is, to have the ability. I can easily talk to people. Doesn't matter what situation I'm in. I can easily talk to anybody. No one's off limits to me because at the end of the day, just nobody is better than anyone else. We're all the same. Some people are really nice. Some people are just total absolute dicks in this world and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, we're all people. That's why, to me, I don't feel better or less than anybody. It's just a matter of who you are as a person. But again, I just think that there's like the cancer sign is known for being the most intuitive of the whole horoscope sign, even though, of course, other signs are intuitive and that as well. And then there's some that just plain aren't. They're not artistic. They're not whatever. Um, I think it's cool, though, that we ended up both being left handed. So interesting. I lost 2 times. That's twins. Fascinated. I think you are versus psychic. Thanks. I'm so sorry to hear that, Pauline. I've lost 2 times sets of twins. Wow. Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. All I can say to you is this, Pauline. Um, I don't care if anyone thinks I'm crazy or not. Your loved ones are around you. They are. I know this, and I. It would make me feel so happy if other people could realize that even though life brings us a bunch of different emotions throughout it, ups and downs and all arounds and stuff like that, through an experience, and I'm not no crazy wacky lady. I might be, you know, kind of a hypey person a little bit and whatever, but I'm very, very logical and balanced in my thinking. I just, use my hands for gestures a lot, and I just kind of like to, I don't know, laugh, have fun, whatever. I don't like to be that basing, boring person. I love you, Deb.
Oh,
Thank you so
thank you. We
much.
love you, Deb.
Yeah, but Pauline, I'm just know that your loved ones are around you. Okay, um, just know that, and all I ever do is I just talk to them. Simple as that. I act like they're still here. If, oops, I don't. Sometimes it comes in double.
That's true crime notebook super chat.
Hey, honey, do you need me?
$9.99. Thank you. Love you, Sunny and Aspen.
See, did you hear that? Deb said that, honey. Love you, Sunny and Aspen.
Aw,
Did
thank
you
you
want to
so
say?
much, Deb.
Thank you, Deb. Baby, say hi to the people that are listening to you right now.
Say hi to the people that are listening to you right now.
There you go. Kind of like when we were fishing. He's such a smart ass and all of them.
I had to flip him off for that one.
So, Pauline, again, so sorry. So sorry. I couldn't even imagine. I couldn't even imagine. Children, especially. I've never had, like, I've only had one child. I've never had a miscarriage. I've never had anything like that. And I feel for anyone that loses a child, whether they haven't been conceived yet, regardless, or that somebody's life is taken, like in the Chris Watts case and stuff like that, where there's an unborn child that's not and stuff like that. My heart, that's my deepest hurt, is especially, sorry guys, but it's to children and animals. That's truly where the most hurt and pain I feel, because the reason I would think I would say that is just because of their innocence, you know. So sorry about that, Pauline. Bless. Um, so let's just see here. Sorry, you guys. I'm getting so behind. Deb's, did you have anything that you wanted to add in there with the Rachel case or say anything? Deb's drunk again.
No, I don't. I think that I think the Rachel Moore case is very interesting, and I have a feeling that there's going to be a lot more to play out with it. So
Yeah.
I'll be tuned in.
Yep. I'm staying very much updated on that case.
Oh.
To check it out.
Yeah, I actually was thinking I actually might start working on a video about it tomorrow. So
Yeah. You know, I don't know. Like, I don't know anything. I'm sorry, guys, but I don't know anything about the children. Like I don't know how many.
I mean, really, there's not been a lot about her personal life other
No.
than that she has 5 children. She's single. She was on these dating sites. Clearly, she likes self-care. I don't want to criticize her looks because, I mean, she's a victim of a horrible homicide. But, we don't really know anything that much about her actual life.
No. Like, I don't know how many dads there are, how many where her children were. I don't know. People have asked that, and unless somebody else knows the answer, there really hasn't been a lot said about that. And I've looked at her Facebook page and Richard's as well, and yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it just really becomes about a tragic loss. 5 children no longer have a mother. You have one mother, well, one biological mother in this lifetime. And that pains me to no end whenever someone loses a parent. It's so sad. I know how it feels.
37 years old is so young.
Yeah, 5 children, 37. Yeah.
Oh, thank
Thanks,
you,
Mustang. I could use a
Mustang
drink.
1965 super chat. $2. Thank you.
Well,
Yeah.
it's the weekend, Sonny. Get yourself one when we're
Well,
playing
if these people,
when we're
Yeah, I was
playing the press conference.
yeah. Well, I was gonna say, if you guys keep donating there, then maybe we can each buy a bottle. I don't even know that I have anything in the house, to be honest with you.
Oh my goodness, this is completely unrelated. I have to show you what I got in the mail today.
What did you get in the mail today?
This is a brochure for a senior living facility.
Oh, send that over here.
I opened it and I was like, "What?"
I'm starting to make you feel old, eh?
You think?
I know.
It looks nice though.
I just said to my husband, I said, "What? Another 11 years? 11 years, and we can move into some old age homes." And I said to him, I said, "Do you wish you were 21 years older? Because that's our age difference." And he's like, "No." And I'm like, "But why? Then you're closer to retirement." He always has this thing about 40. And when I met him, I remember he said, "Nope, because I'm not living past 40. I'm staying at 40. I think he thinks that beyond that is old,
Well, hey, I mean,
Yeah.
he'll be lucky if he makes it to 40, unless he's nice to you, right, Sonny?
Say that again?
He'll be lucky to make it to 40, unless he's nice to you.
Right, exactly. Or else there's going to be a new crime in town. Pauline. And Deb, she said, "Are you moving in, Grandpa Aspen?"
I don't think I can afford those places. Although I do like bingo.
I love bingo.
Right?
I know we're not going to get sidetracked here because we're going to rush the press conference, but DeBoink, 28. And you know what? I suck at bingo. Meaning, no, bingo hates me. But it started liking me about 4 years ago. I literally was winning. Like, bingo. Everyone else around me, like meaning my husband and this lady that we went with as well. Same age. No, she was younger than us. But anyways, it was just like, bingo. Oh, bingo. And I was like, something new happened in my life, because I went for 11 years when I was with Dion and his mom. And this is when I was like 16 to 26 and I was with Dion. Okay. We would go to bingo. Like, she would always want to go to bingo, like at least 2 or 3 times a week. Right. And back then it costed maybe $20 if you on the better side, in a sense. And so, then you could smoke away too. But anyways, so I just be sitting there, and I won probably $1,000 in 11 years. Meanwhile, she probably won about $30,000 in that 11 years. And
Wow.
I thought I was just totally jinxed. I would literally have my little troll doll and I'd whiff it along the papers, like, go me, there you go, little troll. And I took that troll and I still have that troll. And there's part of me that wants to grab the freaking hair on that troll and cut it off and sit there and say, you little shit, because it hasn't, I don't want to say it's brought me luck, but I can't get rid of it because I've had that troll for like 40 years, like 30 something years at least, one of those little original trolls.
Oh.
Anyways,
I'm going to interrupt you really quick, Sunny, because I know, like I said, I know we need to move on. Sherry, happy birthday tomorrow.
Oh, Sherry, yeah. Well, let's just put it this way, Sherry. Happy 60th tomorrow, but be grateful that it's not 99. Okay, that's looking at the positive side of it. Okay, yeah, I know, but I get you. Because next year I'll be like 55, and I'm like, okay. But you know what? I have no problem when it's my time to go. I'm just hopefully I get a bigger bed that like no, but we almost have to take a train to get to me. But yeah, so there you go. Time just goes by so fast. But the way people looked, like my grandma looked old from when I remember
People
her.
look different.
Yeah, like my grandma. Sorry, grandma, but I look freaking half your age at my age.
Sunny, the Golden Girls were your age,
Right? It's crazy. It's
like
crazy.
I think Rue McClanahan was 55 when the Golden Girls was on.
Oh yeah, yeah. You know what? I watched the Golden Girls, but I didn't overly watch the Golden Girls.
But you know what I mean. They looked.
Yeah.
They looked older than 55-year-olds do now. And I love the Golden Girls.
Yeah. Okay, you guys. Okay, let's get into the interview. Let's go find that. So thank you guys. Everyone. Yeah, everyone's getting old. I'm sure if I go look at the history of it gives us all the statistics of who watches. I mean, it's really based on, of course, what you're actually putting into YouTube and stuff like that. Thanks, Diana. But it will tell you like your demographics, of who's watching, and they're between the ages. We know that we hit up there between 70 and 99 typically, don't we, Adam? Mm-hmm. And then a young 56-year-old comes in. Don't know why double plays.
Diana, super chat. $3. Thank you.
Adding to the booze fund. Thank you. Thanks, Diana. Okay, so let's stop screen. We'll bring ourselves up close and personal right now. Adam, boogie. No,
Liar.
I know. Okay, I could have probably milked that one a little bit, but I'm not going to.
I don't get those.
I know we're all innocent. Isn't there nothing worse when you get home or something like that and you look and you have a boogie and you're just like, did I have that?
Well, no, I've been watching YouTube before, and like the person that was on the host had one, and I was like,
yeah.
Yeah. Get rid of that.
Oh, I know, right? Those are some of the ones I've seen too. And sometimes I've mistaken an earring for that when people have sometimes had earrings in that. But anyways, okay.
I think it's one of my pet peeves. Like I know we didn't go on. It's like when people go on and they're like, and you're like looking up their nose because of their camera angle.
Hey, Frank. Frank wouldn't know anything about that, would you, Frank? I like how Frank just lies back in his chair and he's just like nostrils and all like right up there. He's just like, hey, Aspen, hey, Sonny, happy birthday. But yeah, anyways, you guys, we're going to watch the press conference here. I'll just play it. And then
and this is for Rex Heuermann. This is the lawyer of his soon-to-be ex-wife, Asa. And then the lawyer on the left is the attorney for the children. just to clarify.
Yeah. Okay, so let's do that. I think I got it made bigger, and we'll just play it in just a little bit.
Gilboa Beach serial killer suspect. On her behalf, she wanted me to express her thanks for the enormous outpouring of support that she's received in the past several weeks. We've gotten gift cards, care packages, food's been delivered to her house. There's also been a GoFundMe page that's been set up on our behalf, which I'd like to clarify some of the issues with that. The GoFundMe page that's been set up is 100% for the benefit of Asa and her children. This law firm or any associations of us, we take no funds from that. She will receive 100% of the funds from that. The GoFundMe page was set up by Melissa Moore, who is the daughter of the serial killer, the Happy Face killer, who in the late 90s was convicted of killing at least 5 sex workers in the Midwest. She was 16 years old when her father was arrested. She reached out immediately to myself, and we put her in contact with Asa, and they have started the GoFundMe page. Like I said, 100% of the proceeds from that GoFundMe goes to Asa. At this time, Asa has authorized me to relay to everybody that for the past several years, she's been suffering from cancer. She has breast cancer. She also has skin cancer. She's presently under a course of treatment that's going to continue for the next 12 to 18 months. Now, why I bring that up is because her health insurance is due to expire in the next 60 days. The source of her health insurance was from her husband's employer. He was the employee. So when the funds run out, his business accounts, the health insurance will no longer be available for her to treat the cancer that's going to be going, treatment she needs for the next 18 months. That's the big part of it. We did tour the house on Sunday. I was there with my staff and saw the damage that was done and the mess that was left behind when the police did leave. The drain pipes were taken out of the bathroom. That little elbow piece, the traps were taken out of the bathroom sinks as well as the bathroom tubs, so you could not run any of the water. We had a cleanup crew come in with 20-yard dumpsters with 5 men and start removing debris that was left behind. As we speak, photos are being released to all of you through the internet, which you'll have digital photos of the damage that was there. I've also had the opportunity to view the so-called vault or the soundproof room in the basement. It is not a soundproof room. It is not a vault. It is a safe door about 6 foot high that is attached to 2x4s with an open ceiling in the basement like anybody's basement would be, unfinished inside. That's where the guns were allegedly stored. I also had the opportunity to view this doll that they made mention of by the prosecution or the police department. It's a collectible doll, and again, at some point in time, you have a photo of that Asa has collected for many, many years. It was in a wooden glass case that was there. Again, Asa would like me to express her thanks for the support she's received. She's going through a very difficult time. Emotionally, she's recovering each day, not only dealing with the cancer, but this newfound life that she has to come to terms with to protect herself and her children. The attorney for the children is here, Mr. Vespatev. I'd like him to say a few words.
Thank you all very much for coming. As you know, my firm represents the 2 children, Victoria and Christopher. They'd also like to say thank you to the public that's come out, to the donations, the people that have sent care packages, the people that have sent money, the people that have stopped by and given them well wishes. And we've spoken, I think, in the press for the last few days about why and how it's so important that this family has competent and capable legal representation. And Mr. Macedonio and his firm and my firm, obviously, we're going to keep doing that because they have, as we've said before, rights and liberties that need to be protected. Okay, they all have that. ASA has that. The children have that. As this investigation continues, obviously the district attorney's office is releasing new information every day. It's going to be a very long process. So what they're asking you all to keep in mind that it's going to be a marathon. It's not a sprint. This is going to continue. This case is going to be a very long time in the making. And through that process, obviously, we've talked about in the past few days that the law requires them, in order to preserve those legal rights and remedies, to file certain legal documents at certain intervals. If they don't do that, they will have waived those rights in the public forum. So we are, at this point, announcing that the children and Ms. Ellerup, on her behalf, are going to be protecting those legal rights and remedies by filing what's called a notice of claim. That notice of claim is going to be filed within the next 30 days, and that obviously is a legal prerequisite to filing a lawsuit, and it has to be done because otherwise those rights are waived. And that's what's going to happen. When it happens, obviously, we'll let you all know. We'll let you folks know what the content of it is, but that's the announcement that we have to make. In closing, I'd like to echo my colleagues' statements. At this time, the family, again, requests truly and honestly that their rights and liberties have to be protected. And a part of that, again, is that the focus is on their basic needs: their food, their water, their shelter, their clothing. Okay, and that's their paramount concern right now. It is those basic human needs that all of us have that have been ripped apart from them. So we ask you again, please respect their privacy. Please know that they're going through a horrific emotional time that none of us could imagine, and let the legal process run its course. Thank you. It's Vess, V-E-S-S. Last name is Mitev, M-I-T-E-V. Again, that will be set forth in the notice of claim, but clearly it's going to be preserving the rights against law enforcement investigations and officials and investigators that were present at the scene. That's standard. Again, I wouldn't ask that you read into it too much, but that notice of claim is going to be filed. It's a legal prerequisite to filing a lawsuit, which they have to file in order to preserve their rights. Thank you.
Was the Nassau County Police Department involved in wrecking the house?
At this point in time, we're not sure what law enforcement were involved in actually entering the premises and which were involved with securing the streets and that. So we'll file the notice of claim. It'll probably list all the agencies. And then once the investigation's done, we'll narrow it down and see if there's any kind of lawsuit that can be proceeded after that. It was piled floor to ceiling with debris that was just taken out of the attics of every closet, every inch of the house. There was a path probably a foot or two wide to get from the front door to the kitchen, and that was the way through the house. The children and Asa were sleeping on really foam mats on the floor next to the dog bed where the dog was sleeping also. In addition, I forgot to mention, there was 3 cats that were taken when the police executed the search warrant, taken to the animal shelter, local town of Oyster Bay animal shelter, which was going to euthanize them if they were not picked up by a certain time. We had those cats removed, voluntarily transported out to the Bideawee, West Hampton, and they're going to be maintained there until they're adopted out by loving families. The only thing his family knows about these charges was reported in the media. They have not discussed it with him. They haven't addressed it with him, and that's our instructions to them now. We haven't had this conversation. Frankly, it doesn't matter. I need to get Asa back to being mentally healthy to protect herself and her own children. She has to prepare this for at least the next couple of years before this case is litigated in the courts. She has not visited him in the jail. No, they have not. We have not been contacted. That was prior to our representation if it happened, and we have not been consulted or contacted by law enforcement. And let me reiterate, Asa or the children are not suspects in this. I think the DA's office and law enforcement has made that clear. They've stated on several occasions they were out of the jurisdiction when these alleged crimes took place. So she is not a suspect. She's not been questioned. She's not been accused of anything, of being an accomplice or any part associated with whatever her husband's accused of.
Mr. Macedonia, in light of the fact that Suffolk County has proven to frame people, do you think there's any possibility that Rex Heuermann has been framed?
Sir, I'm not even going to address that. I'm not the law enforcement. I trust they're going to do their job diligently and professionally. So I don't.
You just admitted they're lying.
Okay, you're assuming that all the allegations are true. So if the assumption of your question are true, he lived a complete double life. One of the photos that was released to you that you'll have momentarily will show the house at Christmas time with a Christmas tree and stockings hung by the fireplace at the alleged same time he's alleged to have gone out and committed these serial murders and buried the girls up in Gilgo. So if it happened, it was a complete double life. I assure you she knew nothing about it. They have been released already. You should have them. Your agency should all have them. They were sent out. You were talking about the drain pipes that they're taken out, or they're sleeping on the floor. Yes. If they're running water in the home. The water is running, but the drain pipes run the water. The sink just drops down and goes right down to the basement. There's no, but the plumbing has been repaired, or at least the sink's been repaired. Working on the tub as we speak.
How often are you speaking with investigators? Have they been asking?
I have not spoken to investigators at all. Not at all.
Are there any appointments?
No. No. No.
If there was, would they be reaching out?
They have not reached out to us, so I can't assume what they would be doing. I'm sure they're running a professional investigation. I understand the grand jury is still impaneled, so that's their function, and we have not been reached out by them at all.
Have you talked to us about the fact that DNA was at the crime scene?
Well, I think it's what's been said. They say a hair of her likeness was at the crime scene. I don't think they said DNA of hers was at the crime scene. So we of her likeness of hair. So I don't think the DNA has been proven to be hers at the crime scene. Sure.
Sure. Before that, I just want to piggyback off something Mr. Macedonio just said, and this goes back maybe 2 days, but this DNA order that was cut, okay, that's a very standard order in any kind of criminal prosecution. This was a order that was going to be granted no matter what, okay? Anytime you have a case involving DNA evidence, a buccal swab is quite standard. The state of, the laws of the state of New York are that you can be required, subject to your constitutional limitations, to provide what's called non-testimonial evidence. Hair, materials, DNA. So that order was completely pro forma. I understand it was reported in the media as this groundbreaking, earth-shaking moment in the case, but it's not. It gets cut in every case, and if it wasn't ordered, it would have been immediately created an appealable issue. So back to your question. Obviously, they're as we've said before, every moment that they spend in this waking, surreal nightmare, they have to keep reevaluating where they are. Okay. Their valuables were shattered, their beds were destroyed, the places that they laid their heads down at night no longer exist. The reason that they spend so much time outside and why you folks photographed them on the porch is because they can't be inside. The house is in shambles. It's ransacked. It was run over through roughshod. Okay, so it's not as if they don't want to be inside their house, but the conditions inside are deplorable, and they were left in a deplorable condition. So how are they doing? Again, we go back to what we need as humans. We need food, water, clothing, shelter, a roof over our heads, a place to lay our heads down at night. All of those things they were deprived of summarily without any warning. And every day that goes by, again, kindness of strangers, and we appreciate that. They help get back a little bit of normalcy. But it's not going to be enough. Every dollar counts. Obviously, they have a long way to go. It's not going to be enough today. It's not going to be enough tomorrow. It's not going to be enough for months, maybe years. So in order to piece back what's been crumbled into a million pieces is going to take a very long time. And they need all that. And that's what humans need.
A murder case with multiple victims. Is now the appropriate time to talk about the condition of Heuermann's house?
It's absolutely the appropriate time to talk about the condition of Heuermann's house and children. Again, they're innocent bystanders in this. And that's, again, we cannot stress that enough because of what has happened here, and it's of unimaginable magnitude. They're caught up in this. They're victims just as much. They disagree, or you might, consider that there were horrific things that are alleged to have been happened, but an allegation and a conviction are quantum leaps apart. So yes, they are victims, and yes, they are innocent bystanders, and yes, their lives have been completely upended and turned upside down.
Can you speak about the relationship between the children and Rex? Were they close? Did they happen to take any family vacations? And if so, where did they go?
Again, I appreciate the question and we thank you for it. We're not here to talk about that today. We're here to give you an update, disseminate some new photos, which I think will give you a better idea. A picture's worth 1,000 words, obviously, as to what the house was, what their life was like. It's contained in those pictures as well, but we're not going to talk about that. And obviously to announce that we are going to be exercising their legal rights and remedies by filing the notices of claim. Thank you.
Sorry, you cannot call the jail. The jails have to be outgoing only from the jail. So there's no. They're spoken over the phone. Yeah, like I've stated, all those jail calls are recorded. So we've instructed her, and I'm sure his attorneys instructed him not to discuss the facts of the case. It just doesn't benefit either party.
So he's called her.
That's the only way the call could happen.
As Dr. Elra explained to you a reason for filing 34s?
Of course, I discussed that with her, and at some point in time, she'll make a statement on why she feels it was appropriate to do that. Okay, Johnny Ray is trying to keep himself relevant in this case. He has a victim, and he's been on TV for the last 10 years trying to get any kind of press he can on this and make himself relevant in this case. I can assure you, Asa Ellerup and her 2 children are not suspects in this case. They shouldn't be suspects in this case. I wholeheartedly trust the DA's investigation that eliminated them. So I don't know what Johnny Ray's purpose is in doing that, but like I said, trying to keep himself relevant in this matter.
I know you said that they're not suspects in this case, but what can you say about how they're assisting in the investigation?
They're not assisting at all. We've never been contacted.
Is there any desire to do that? So you're not suspects. Would they go above and beyond to help?
Again, if this happened, it was a complete double life. They have no information to provide. But again, they're not suspects. They haven't been questioned. I do not believe they have any relevant information, or they would have been questioned already and called into the grand jury.
And they have nothing to help investigate.
Complete double life.
I want to ask about the notice to claim. Her husband told his lawyer he didn't do this.
We haven't gotten to that discussion. We don't know what he told his lawyer. Like again, she hasn't had that conversation with him, and we instructed her not to.
Want to go back to the notice to claim for a second?
Yeah, she has not even asked him. We told her to ignore all that, ignore the media reports, things that have been reported in the media. A soundproof room. Everybody reported that. That is not true. So everybody ran with that story that he had this sex dungeon downstairs in his house with a soundproof room where he was bringing prostitutes and murdering them and then burying them on Gilgo Beach. There is no soundproof room in that house. So we cannot believe everything that's been reported in the media. We've told her that and instructed her that to get herself mentally healthy, and so she could be there for her children who are suffering through this.
The notice to claim. What are the grounds for that? Can you tell us what you're going to be alleging in there?
There are certain rights they have to protect within a 90-day period for notice of claim, the property damage that was done. If you don't file that notice of claim within 90 days, you lose the right to pursue it at a later date. So we're just going to protect those.
On the property.
It's just going to protect those rights, and that's it. Whether or not a lawsuit will be pursued will be addressed later on. But you have to file a notice of claim within the 90-day period, or you waive it. Okay. No, I do not. Okay.
In your opinion, has the civil rights of this family been violated?
If my opinion, I didn't think they were, we would not be filing a notice of claim. Okay. Thank you.
When were they married?
I don't know the exact date of marriage. 96. Okay.
How did she lawyer up with you so quick? Who recommended you?
Oh, righty then. Okay. Yes, and so sorry, I was in behind doing something there, but it's so sad when we learned that she had like cancer, and like a whole bunch of cancer going on there. So I dropped the link for the GoFundMe in there, and I feel so horrible. Now the GoFundMe, just so you know, you guys, is at $46,730. But honestly, that's going to be a far cry from anything. So anyone that can donate to that GoFundMe for Asset Heller Up. Go ahead.
It was at 42,000 earlier today when I looked earlier.
Yeah. Well, it's so nice that they kept mentioning that, because again, I know that you guys in the States, your medical care is quite different from ours here in Canada. And that for treatment in your hospitals out there, that is like nothing really. Yeah, for a hospital. Expensive. Yeah, it's really crazy.
You can spend that in 24 hours in the hospital.
Right. But anyways, so I had dropped a video before, but I'm glad that they brought it up, because I was kind of forgetting about that when I was looking at the different GoFundMes for Rachel Morin, for that tragic death of the wife as well. That one with the wife, there's like 2 GoFundMes for that, right? The one that with the wife, Samantha Miller, that had just gotten married, and then Jamie Lee
at Folly Beach, South Carolina.
733,000 when I looked yesterday. So for that one, and then the other one has about 46 as well, or something like that, for the one that's personally for the children, to help out with the costs, or not the costs, but the family, or I think that they want to do something special in her honor, Samantha, and but anyways, but the main one, 733,000.
Wow.
Yeah, it sometimes when it comes to these GoFundMes, I mean, honestly, it's thanks to the media and the people out there that push these GoFundMes for these people that make the difference for these families. And sadly, there's a lot of people out there that could use help, that don't receive it. And then there's some families that, again, depending on how the story is through the media, can do a definite help, a big, huge push. And Samantha's, like I said, for $733,000 from generous people out there. I just wish that I wish that some of the people that don't really get help that could use it, get it as well. But it's whether or not the media sometimes picks it up, because some of the stories we just don't really hear about. They're like a blurb in the newspaper, and that's about it. So it really just depends if the story catches. And of course, a wife that was killed on the day that she got married 5 hours later, that was it's just a huge tragedy. I couldn't imagine, like, honestly, there's so many different stories that you just feel so really bad for out there. But at the end of the day, though, I'm glad that we can be part of it. Like, meaning we're a small fraction of helping, in a sense, but all the people that do it add up to a lot. So that's what makes the difference, is that
Absolutely.
all the different creators, all the different people that bring awareness to cases, that do it for the right reasons. Let me put it that way. Even if they're for not intentional reasons, like, or just money grab reasons or whatever, stuff like that. Like, I mean, even it still benefits, right? Because the more something is out there, or the more someone helps with a GoFundMe, whether, again, it doesn't matter what channel you're, it's still bringing awareness to cases and people that are in need of financial help. And in this particular case, Asa Ellerup is in need of financial help. So again, if you can post the link on your Facebook, share it on your Twitter, stuff like that, those things make a difference. They really, truly do make a difference. I put it on the TikTok for Rachel Morin yesterday. I did one video for the actual one about talking about what, the new news update. And then the other one was more about the donation. And if people could share the video, put the donation page on their, TikToks or whatever. It makes a difference. It does make a difference.
Yeah.
Now, so we're going to move on here, but I'll quickly do this. I think it's right here. Yeah, I think it's right here. Oh. All right, let's just do that again. One more time. One more time. One more time. All right. Wow, there you go. Happy birthday, Sherry. So while I was doing that, as we were listening
You're
to.
quick, Sonny.
I know. I quickly did that when I was on Canva for you. So, because she said she was sulking to herself a bit there. Can't have that, but I get it. I get it. Your birthday comes along, perhaps like you're thinking nobody cares about me. And I want to show you that we care. All right. So happy 60th birthday, Sherry. What is this, Adam? I miss you. Oh, I think that's a hint thing.
Oh.
Put yourself in the camera. Now I can go off.
I didn't realize my camera. I didn't realize my camera wasn't on.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for Sherry. I seen her type up here. All right, Sherry, I'm gonna play it one more time. One more time. Now, see, it feels like you just came out of the whole womb again, doesn't it?
Oh.
It just perked you up right there, almost like you slid on out of there. And here, well, I know it says 60, but I know you probably more feel like you're what, like 29. I don't know why. But anyways, so thank you guys very much for saying happy birthday to Sherry.
Someone I was talking to had a family member that just turned 99, and they said their family member said, "I've never in my life had 99 years go by so fast."
90. I'm always amazed, when someone tells me their age and they said that they're like 99 or whatever, and I'm like, good life. You could go now, good life.
There was a news article yesterday or the other day that was like 101-year-old still works and says the key to life is you got to keep moving.
The key to life.
And I probably agree with that, actually.
Yeah,
you have to have a reason to keep going. If you don't have a reason to get up in the morning,
yeah,
sometimes you don't.
It's true. Honestly, you do. You do. I always talk about that because I'm not going to get into my stuff or whatever, but everyone needs purposes.
Yeah.
They need to feel wanted. They need to feel loved. Doesn't matter. People can be as grumpy as whatever, and I don't need nobody. Blah blah blah. Shut up. You do too. Okay. Everyone needs to feel, like there's something in a sense. It doesn't matter how it comes in. For Sherry, well, now she's going to live another 40 years just because of this video tonight. So you go, Sherry. You live to that freaking actually 100 years old. And yeah, it's not about bumps anymore. It's about how many dumps can you take. That's guilty. I know what a sad sack I was. 2 friends blew me off. Oh, it was terrible. But I'm over them. I have all my new friends now here. Oh, isn't that the worst? Okay. Right. I'm a good friend, just so you know. Well, it's harder to be a good friend on the internet when a lot of people are messaging you. I'm not a big overly message type person. I kind of just grind my head down into the computer, totally forget. Like if Steffa didn't show up today, I love Steffa and she knows it. But honestly, it's like weeks will go by and I'll be like, oh shit. Yeah, hey Steffa, how you doing? It's not because I forget.
Every night when I go to bed, I like to say, I like to thank Jesus for all the people in my life that matter. And I always start with Steffa because I think that she needs it more than most people. I'm kidding. No, but I'm always like, thank you for support with Steffa.
Yeah. Well, if
I hope she finds her way through the trees.
I was going to say, if I looked outside of my closed down, blinds and I saw a tree, I would definitely be thinking of Steffa right away. I'd be going, is that south or north?
I'm always like, oh, I wonder if she's getting more dates than I am. Probably.
Yeah.
Because I'm not getting it.
Anyways, we like to definitely think, and I know that there's only 31 people watching, and that's okay because a lot of times the people that are watching are simply our loyal ones that are we could sing out of like I said, being a burlap sack or something like that, and they still follow the channel. And I know people come and people go, and people move on and do different things and whatever. But always so appreciative so much of the loyal people that.
And we're not covering Delphi tonight, so I mean, it's not to be expected that we're going to have a ton.
I know,
but,
I know.
The people that are here are the ones that matter.
Yeah, I know. Delphi's a hard one just because it's like we definitely follow it. We definitely pay attention to it because obviously it's one of our babies. But with that one, you guys, again, I'm not into the drama of just trying to. I'm at the point where it's like, okay, when there's actual news, I don't want to keep regurgitating old stuff and stuff like that. But I get it, right? It's just kind of like that people are into different cases. Well, we spent a good 2.5 years on Delphi, and I just thought that, we're going to be there for Delphi the whole way through it. But at the end of the day, I think we needed to grow as a channel as well. And growing pains always happen. So even if we have almost 10,000 subs and there's only 31 people watching, I'm sorry that we don't do lives every night like some channels and all this stuff and whatever. But whatever. I just let it go with the flow. But we do and did want to expand into different stories, because there's more than just Delphi. There's a whole bunch of other people that need awareness brought to their
Right.
cases as well. And at the
But
moment,
trust me, we still know every single thing that's going on with Delphi. But if we don't bring it to you, it's because it's not relevant, to be honest.
for us, yeah, for us,
Well,
you know, yeah,
for the case.
and not only that, but yeah, again, there's other people out there that are talking about Delphi still, you know, every day on certain other channels
But
and stuff
most of
like
it
that.
isn't true.
I don't even watch them, so I don't even know what they're saying.
I don't either,
even know.
I don't either, but I hear about it, and then I'm like,
Yeah.
that's not true.
What was actually? Hold on. There was what document came out the other day? That was for Richard Allen, something about I kept wanting to say the word
it was essentially the fact that, you know, the defense team, you know, they want to get Richard Allen moved, so they essentially just asked the court for the transcripts from the June 15th hearing, so they could review them, probably so that they can then, mark my words, file a motion for a new reason to have him moved. It was, in my opinion, a nothing burger.
Exactly. Now Daisy says, at Aspen, when is Karina McClurkin's case trial?
You know what? I need to look to see when Flint Farmer's trial is, because it's in September. I just can't remember the exact date.
No, I know.
But
I need to look.
I will look, and I'll let you know. I'll message you, Daisy, and I'll let everyone know.
Okay, you start your computer, and then we're going to move on here to the JonBenet Ramsey case. Now, I happen to come across this on Reddit. Asta Elrup's attorney releases photos from inside home. Isn't that old? Hold on a second here.
I never saw the new. I heard they said in the press conference that they released a whole bunch of new photos. The ones that I saw were not new, but then I heard that there were going to be ones from before the search. So I was interested to see what the house looked like before, because we'd heard it was cluttered.
Yes.
So I personally didn't see any new photos, but I haven't looked tonight. It was earlier today.
Well, I mean, it's like 6 minutes long if you want me to play it. It's totally up to you, unless you just want to go on to JonBenet now.
It's up to you.
Let me just hold on. Do you guys want to watch a 6-minute video on Rex Heuermann's wife speaks through attorney, and then they're going to show some pictures of the house, or do you want to move on to the JonBenet? Just say 1 for JonBenet and 2 for watching the video for 6 minutes. Totally up to you guys. You don't have to work tomorrow, do you? Or wait, you probably do.
Yeah, I work in the morning.
I was thinking, I don't know why, but I was thinking it was. Whoops.
Well, I don't always work on Saturdays, but I do work tomorrow.
Mustang, where did 3 come from? 6 minutes, Doogie Fresh, we're on. You know what? We're gonna play it, and you guys are never gonna leave your home like this ever, okay? Not even if the FBI comes in.
And how about they took the cats? I was like,
I know they took the cats.
From that press conference, I was like, well, why couldn't they just go back and get the cats? Why do they have to be adopted in new homes? Because to me, that was telling of what the house looked like prior.
Yeah. After going to bed live the other night, I was laughing my head off. You don't get that on others. So that Pauline knows how to talk today. She was getting so frustrated the other day, remember?
Yeah. Well, even tonight, I think I saw it once already tonight. Pauline, do not try to add a link.
Yeah. Streamlabs, you gonna be nice to me today? No. I'm just kidding. I know. Okay, so let's play this quickly. Maybe not for the full 6 minutes. We'll just see how it goes. We just want to, this is how not to leave your house, though. Okay, right. That's the moral of the story right here.
To be clear really quickly, Sherry, the family is not suing at this point. All that they were doing was that they had to file these documents so that if in the future they want to file a lawsuit, they can.
Right.
But as of right now, they're not suing. I assume they will. But
I'm assuming
as of right now, to be factual, they're not. There's no lawsuit filed.
Yeah. Okay, so let's make this bigger and let's play it.
I found the press conference interesting. I also found it interesting that not only did the lawyers talk, but right afterwards, we all got an email in our inbox. They released photos from inside Heuermann's house. Talk to us about these photos.
Yeah, Brian, these are never before seen photos of the inside of the Heuermann's house. And you talked about how unusual it is to hear from the family. I think for them to be so open is very surprising to everyone, and to share these photos that show what they call the mess that investigators left after searching through the home for 12 days. You can see clutter, and we know that the police have said that the home was really cluttered before they entered, and these photos show boxes up to the ceiling. I have to say, presumably investigators weren't bringing in items to the house, right? We saw them taking out evidence. So it's hard to know what we're supposed to learn from these photos. We don't know what the house looked like before they entered, but look, Asa's team, her legal team, saying today that they filed a claim. And we have to assume that that is to help prepare them if they decide to go the legal route and really push forward and try to get back money from any losses. I hope that they do. They've already lost so much through Rex Heuermann's arrest, but it's hard to make sense exactly of what we're supposed to learn from these photos.
Yeah, it's interesting. You obviously have to feel for his family. I mean, the police have said that they don't believe they had any involvement. We've seen the wife and her suffering. We've seen the kids. It's very, very sad. Interesting, though, that they're already planning, it seems like, to sue the DA and the police department, possibly. That was an interesting development today. And then the photos. There was one photo that really stood out to me. There was the photo of all the clutter and kind of what happened with the house. But then they had this random photo of like a Christmas tree.
Yes. So this photo of the Christmas tree was provided by Asa to show what the house had looked like before. This is their living room. But two things of note. One, this photo is very old. It's from 2011. And that is also the year that Gilgo remains were found. So I'm not sure why this photo was chosen. Now, Asa's attorney did tell me that she will provide more current photos of the inside of the house. She had said that they were left without a mattress, that they don't have running water, that pipes were taken. But the photos that we were provided today, they do show the pipes being gone from the bathroom, and they show lots and lots of boxes.
Interesting. Yeah, the giving out the photo of the 2011 Christmas tree, I was also trying to sort of read what the play was there. It does make sense, though, what you're saying, that that's around the same time the bodies were found. I guess they were trying to show, look, you know, back at home, everything seemed normal to us. I know you had a chance to speak one-on-one with one of the lawyers after the press conference. How did that go? What did he have to say?
You know, you pointed out that they've been very forthcoming with information. And I was asking about this GoFundMe. A GoFundMe has been started to help with Asa's medical funds. We learned today that she's been suffering from cancer for several years, and that because she was under her husband's health insurance, that is going to expire soon. But Brian, that GoFundMe was started by the daughter of the Happy Face serial killer. So I had to know how the two of them were connected. I find you really empathetic that a family who has also been connected to a serial killer would reach out, and that they have this community forming around her and her family's losses. So I just wanted to know how the two of them even linked up.
She had reached out to me and then asked for permission to come meet Asa, which she flew in last Sunday and spent a good part of the day at the house with her. And Asa, you know, they have a unique bond that hopefully none of us ever will have. Her dad was arrested. I should say that Melissa Moore's dad was arrested when she was 16 years old, and they came on to be known as the Happy Face Killer. So it's a situation where her life was turned upside down the way Asa and her children's were turned upside down. So they bonded on that.
It's definitely a unique connection. It's not one that many people on the planet can relate to. And I'm glad that they have this community. I also asked him, why are they back in the Massapequa home? Is there not family? Are there not friends that they can stay with? I can't imagine that's very comforting to be back at home that they've called unlivable, and where your husband has been accused of carrying out these horrendous crimes.
Yeah, no, that's a really, really good question, Sloan. And a lot of people have brought up the point of, oh, well, they owned property in other states. Why does she need to GoFundMe? But I mean, it's going to take time to figure all that out, to sell property. And for all we know, Rex Heuermann may have been in charge of the finances. Maybe she doesn't have cash available to her right now. They're certainly in what seems to be a sad situation. Real quick, Sloan, did they say why today they had this press conference? I was trying to understand like the timing of it. Like, why did they choose this Friday to have this presser release these photos? Do you think there's something behind it?
I was thinking the same thing, right? And also, why now? Why is now the appropriate time to come forward and talk about your home and the condition that it was left in? I mean, this is a case with multiple murders, and families who are waiting over a decade for some sort of resolution. The answer that I got was the timing, that they needed to file this claim within 90 days, and they wanted to announce to the public that they were.
Thank you for watching. Go to News Nation now.
Second there, guys. So I mean, I believe that they were hoarders anyway, so it'll be interesting to see what it looked like, because I mean, we did see that the bathtub was cut up and stuff like that. For me personally, whether it's victims, Asa to me is still a victim. And
Right.
I mean, to me, I think that when you live in a home for that long, that's your home. You would have to be in somebody's shoes, I think.
Right.
So I'm not even going to judge on that part, because
Same.
I can understand it.
Daisy, I agree that this would be a great time for there to be a GoFundMe for the victims' families, for like the unalived victims' families. But I think also deserves to to have some, if so. I mean, she didn't put this up herself. She gave her consent, but I mean, anyone that's going through this, I don't have a problem with them having a GoFundMe. But no, I agree that the unalived family members could also put up GoFundMes.
Yeah, I just think that Asa, like anyone, is a victim, hoarder or not. The children and her are victims. And again, I'm sorry, I have total sympathy for her, especially even more so knowing that she has cancer and stuff like that. And again, I would have to live in somebody's shoes. And so I'm not going to pass judgment on their home, even because we know that there's hoarders out there as well. Each to their own. At the end of the day, it just becomes as they've already clearly stated that of course, Asa had nothing to do with any of the things that Rex, her husband, did. And that's the thing, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I always just try to place myself in the other person's shoes. And, I know it's a little bit harder because a lot of people turn to hate or don't really care so much when it's the wife or whatever of SK. Well, I mean, it's been said so many times on here. Might as well say it, serial killer. And I think that people have a little bit more harder time donating because of that connection to it.
Oh yeah, of course. I think, and that's understandable. But I still think she's a victim.
Definitely. But anyway, so we'll leave that as there. I believe, like I said, that their house was definitely kind of like a hoarder type house in the first place. And I think it's probably, I'm going to say it probably went at least double, like meaning that when they put the stuff in there, they were just, all the stuff that they're giving back. It's like, here, because they even made a reference to that, basically when the FBI and that comes in, they can tear your place apart. And it's like, there you go. Here's the keys. Go back in it. And that's why they're able to file the motion because obviously there's a lot of damage that's been done. So who knows? I'm not sure how you guys all work out in the States for that stuff. Either way, again, for me, prayers to the family and any of the victims that are victims of Rex Heuermann. It's, I mean, I just couldn't imagine being the child or the wife or of a serial killer. I just couldn't imagine that at all. You know, knowing that your whole life was your whole marriage was basically a lie. Like, you know what I mean? It's like someone being stripped of everything, you know? Like flipped upside down. Anyways, you guys, let's get into typical in those searches that they tore up the whole toilet and plumbing lines in the Ramsey basement. There are pictures of the disassembled toilet. Yeah. But okay, so for the Ramsey one here, and I'm just going to make it a little bit bigger, but I'm just going to be reading it from. I muted myself accidentally. I really appreciated the thoughts of this person on Reddit. Sorry, and this is to do with this one here. And it says the JonBenet Ramsey ransom note is outrageous. You know, the bottom line is truly to me, the ransom note is a huge part of the evidence of to who took JonBenet's life. And I just really like the thoughts of this person as I was reading it. And so we're going to just kind of go through this, guys, on this part today. So it says the JonBenet Ramsey note is the single largest piece of evidence in a case filled with bizarre pieces of evidence. The person who wrote the ransom note was involved in the death of JonBenet directly or indirectly. Will leave questions of who exactly her killer was for other posts. This ransom note is outrageous and can't be taken seriously. It never seeks to exchange money for the safe return of JonBenet. It's an attempt to point fingers away from the Ramsey family while masquerading as a real ransom note. And that said the note itself is here, but it's not there anymore because I remember clicking it. And it says everything from where the note was found to the materials used to create the note would become important pieces of circumstantial evidence in the court of public opinion. The ransom note is cartoonish, drowning in cliches, and hard to take seriously as a real ransom note. It's like someone cut and pasted a bunch of crime cliches together. Reddit has a thing called something simulator that reminds me of the ransom note. It's a bot that creates comments automatically based on text. It's kind of like AI, basically, is what he's saying in a little bit. Just like here, let's just throw in all these freaking cliches throughout it. I imagine if you instructed an artificial intelligence to write a convincing ransom note, the Ramsey one is what it would come up with. It's like a computer had a database full of movie crime scenes, cliches, and put them together like a Mad Lib. Why did the author feel like they needed to be so dramatic? The first sentence in the note, and we're going to discuss this as we go down. So this is one thing that, again, just reading it. So listen carefully. So in the part of listen carefully, right? When I was watching, I think it was the one with Laura Richards. Well, you're not going to be listening to a note. You're going to read carefully, but it says listen carefully as if you're going to be hearing it. And so did you think that is odd a little, Adam, at all? Or does that like meaning that they start off saying listen carefully when it's really just it's a note that you're reading?
Right. Yeah.
Or
I
do you
mean,
think it's just
everything about the ransom note is odd.
oh yeah. So it says then it's off to the races. Much has been written about the misspelling of business as business and foreign faction or even a small group of individuals, as though it could be any other way. Examining the first paragraph, you can see that the author is trying to project grandiosity, and instill fear in John. Foreigners are inherently strangers and need to be feared. We have your daughter in our possession is a statement of ownership and strength. Then the writer undercuts these statements with the use of the adjective small in a small foreign faction and shows that they're nervous, trying to project sophistication and grandiosity when they redundantly write that JonBenet is safe and unharmed. Unharmed is implied in the word safe. This is the second of two redundancies in the short opening paragraph. Group of individuals, safe and unharmed. This redundancy shows that the author is nervous, that they're doing everything they can to convince the reader to take this note seriously and to think of the kidnapper as an elusive foreign political group bent on punishing John Ramsey for the misdeeds of his government and his business. The writer has good cause to be nervous. They were involved in the death of a little girl. Okay, so in that first part of the paragraph, right now, even that might work. So I'm listening. I'd have to go full screen. Yeah. I don't have this. I mean, I don't have it. It's not one of those things that I can make bigger besides without copying it and whatever all the way down. I guess I could have done that perhaps. So for me, Adam and chat, small foreign faction.
Oh yeah.
Like I know that one comes up a lot. And honestly, to me, that one obviously strikes everyone as weird, small foreign faction. And it's kind of like, why? Like, that is very strange wording, small, instead of using large foreign faction, that they use the word a small foreign faction.
I don't think that anyone from an actual small foreign faction would say small foreign faction, because to them they're not foreign, first of all. And second of all, no person that's demanding money is going to minimize their stature by saying that they are small. To me, the entire ransom note is nothing but a stream of diversions. I that I don't personally believe that the Ramseys had anything to do with writing it. I know a lot of people will and do, and that's fine. But I feel like the ransom note is confusing because it's so nonsensical, where I think there are clues in it, and I think that there are things that we can ascertain about the crime in the ransom note, but the content of the note itself is I think a stream of cliches in a way.
Yeah.
And if you look at 1996, if you look at 1996, and if you look at the political things that were going on in the world, not just the United States, but the world in 1996, there were, we were very aware at that point of things like small foreign factions because of the Persian Gulf War, the first attempted bombing of the World Trade Center happened in 1995. I believe that Oklahoma had so I mean, there were all these little things that I feel like if you look at socially, play into some of the stuff with the ransom note. But do I think that they actually hold merit? No.
Okay. No, I forgot what I was gonna say. What was I gonna say? Oh, I remember hearing that, for instance, that using the word small foreign faction, that's why that purposely was trying to make themselves look like they couldn't spell all the words, like possession or business. Does that make sense to you that is plausible?
Yeah.
I mean, I've kind of actually changed my whole mindset on this case, to be honest with you. I don't want to say I've changed it. I've probably gone back to what I originally felt. and there's reasons for that. But again, it's We'll get into that part later. I'll tell you the percentage so far, though. Patsy Ramsey, 39%. John Ramsey, 4%. Gary Oliva, only 11%, right? Smart. No friggin' clue, someone else is 47%. So that is the highest. So for that poll that was on there, Bill Clinton had just won his second seat, beating out Ross Perot. I remember that, who had started the company EDS. Just because you used initials there, did anyone ever think that when they're looking at that victory and it says BSTC, no, yes, no, SBTC, SBTC. Did anyone ever think? Okay, actually, I'll just show it to you. Perhaps. Let me stop that for a second and go to the window.
And listen carefully is it's kind of Dirty Harry in 1971. The quote is, "Now listen to me carefully."
Okay.
The only reason I brought up Dirty Harry is because that's also where the quote came from, where Dirty Harry says, "If you talk to anyone, I don't care if it's a Pekingese pissing against a lamppost, the girl dies."
Yeah.
Whereas in the ransom note it says, if we catch you talking to a stray dog, she dies. So there are a few references which allude to Dirty Harry. I think someone in the chat has said ordinary people, but which it may also be an ordinary people. I mean, listen carefully is a very common phrase.
Right. Listen carefully. But
sorry.
Right. But listen carefully is one. But and I can see people meaning I could see someone say, like, listen carefully, as if, and use that. Like, I can see someone putting that on a piece of paper and writing, like, listen carefully.
Well, I'm pretty sure my parents a few times in my adolescence said, listen carefully.
Well, listen carefully to say it verbally. Yeah.
Right.
But I could see where even I might put listen carefully on a note, like, listen carefully to what I'm telling you, even though you know that it's really not matching what should be said, because it would be like read carefully, like to my, actually it would be more like someone would probably write like listen to my instructions.
Right.
Sometimes when you just because it's one of those things that it's to a grammar person, they definitely know it's wrong to say it like that. But to me, I wouldn't think much about it, to be honest with you. But what dawned on me today a little bit, just one of those little thoughts, when I was looking at SBTCA and I was talking to my AI program, hey, can you give me because at first I was thinking, well, maybe the S is like signed by, like they were using the signed by, or there was something that was like small business technology company.
Right. I mean, the word victory alone makes no sense.
Yeah,
because you're requesting. You're basically saying that you've kidnapped this child. You are demanding a ransom. Nothing has happened. I'm just looking at it logically. If this is written as a sincere ransom note, and you're writing victory, and then there's quite a bit of space, which there's not in any other part of the letter, with a punctuation. There's victory and then a space and then exclamation mark and then the infamous SBTC.
And so again, so this is what came to my mind. So how, if you okay, think about this in the alphabet: A, B, C, Q, R, S, T. So you have S, T, B, C. So A, B, C, Q, R, S, T. So you notice how it's just kind of flowing like that? That was just something that popped into my head when I was looking at it. I was just like, how come it goes like S, T, B, C?
Well, clearly the SBTC means something to the kidnapper.
Or it might not even.
What has to. What would make them write it?
Because
something had to have entered their head.
I'll tell you, something entered their head. But to me, this whole ransom note is a bunch of malarkey bullcrap. And so to me, I could just as well see someone going ARTV, and there's no real meaning behind it besides that they just want to give it some sort of freaking signature. So I could see that that could happen as well. Not that someone sat there and went, well, signed by the
Victory is such a specific word to use.
Mhm.
Like, I agree, it's all nonsensical, but like
Yeah.
victory is a very specific word to use, followed by this set of abbreviated letters that we don't know what it stands for.
Yeah.
But
so go ahead.
I mean, I assumed that, my first thought that it was always been that it was a reference to religion, meaning the word victory, and then the SBTC would mean saved by the cross. But I don't know, of course, like anyone else.
Right. Well, Anna Lisette says the neighbor identified by JonBenet investigation is said to have had a poster of a W-2 plane. Part of the model description of that plane is SBTC, and could very well be so. I've totally changed my mind. At first, you know what? I'm going to read. Sorry, I'm going to read on because the person's going to say exactly what I was thinking.
Okay.
Anyway, so let me go back to it here, and so it gets to the part where it says you will withdraw 118,000. Now we know that there's possibly two reasons for that. His bonus and obviously the 118,000 or something like that he burnt some guy that worked there or whatever. So 100, of course, thousand will be in $100 bills, and the remaining 18,000. Well, we know that the whole amount is a complete to me, okay, because I have to speak for myself on this one, is a complete just bunch of crap in itself to me. It's obviously no normal person, okay? How a normal ransom note would be. No one's going to put $118,000 unless there was something behind it that somebody was trying to achieve by showing that amount. No normal person is going to they're going to put 120,000. They're going to put 150,000, 200,000. So we know that to me this
1
number,
million.
yeah, they know to me that this number is ridiculous and that it's geared toward to try to show something. Like
Right.
there's
And it's not that much money, to be honest.
no, it's a bunch of freaking honestly. I mean, the thing is that no one ever would put 118,000. Like, if it was a true ransom note.
Right.
They're not going to do that. It's going to clearly be 200, 300,000, 500,000, 1 million, whatever. So that right there says a lot to me about the note. And then it says, okay, and then make sure that you bring an adequate size attaché to the bank. Again,
Such a weird word.
yeah, when you get back, see, and then when you get back home, you will put the money in a brown paper bag. Like,
Right.
whatever
And
happens here.
don't forget to rest up.
Yeah, right. Okay. And exactly. The delivery will be exhausting. Like, to me, this is clearly, to me, this whole note to me is personally, this is a female writer that wrote this note from the A's to all these things that women would say. And I can see that myself being a female, that this to me, these are things that certain things that men would not say typically. Like meaning you're going to go more to the scale of 90% women would say this and men would not. So, saying get well rested up and stuff like that, that's not typically, but throughout the whole note, it definitely to me has a total female vibe about it, from the A's to the certain wording, that being one of them. Like, seriously, like that's something a woman would say. To deliver will be exhausting, so I advise you to rest up. Like, why would you even put that in there? It sounds so stupid. I can't see John Ramsey putting that in there. I can see Patsy Ramsey putting that in there, but meaning
Yeah,
I can see
I can't even see Patsy putting that in there, because I mean, literally, if you put it in your mind that you just either were indirectly or directly responsible for your own daughter's death,
yeah,
I don't think the fabrication of the way this was written is going to be something a parent writes. I mean, or think about how JonBenet was found. I mean, if Patsy Ramsey was involved in all with her daughter's death, I mean, her daughter died a brutal, brutal death. And then you're just going to turn around and go, okay, I'll write this note that's completely fanciful and points away from us. I don't think, judging by the hysteria that is her personality in the next several incidences that we see her, that she was going to be that composed in that moment.
I was going to
In
say,
my opinion.
and that's just it, because my opinion has totally changed when I'm looking at the scope of this. Now, it doesn't mean it's 100%, but it's definitely changed when I think about the scope of it, in a sense. But we'll just continue reading. Let's just continue reading on, and then we'll get back into it. So it says the first part is right out of a movie. Get into the X, Y, and Z denomination. Any criminal knows that bills would be marked. How are you going to spend? How are you going to spend any of that money? The note is also very bossy. It's like a nagging wife, and I kind of agree to be on that. Listen up. Take a big enough bag. Get enough rest. The author projects the size again, saying basically they have eyes on John everywhere he goes. That's a lot of guys to pay attention just for $118,000 split 4 ways. That's only about $30K each for their trouble. And you're going to need at least 4 guys to be able to do everything you said you would do in the note. In the following section, there is no logical explanation for why the kidnapper would care if the Ramseys were able to properly bury their daughter. The Lindenberg baby kidnapper didn't care. He left the baby in a ditch by the side of the road. Why would this kidnapper care? And then it says, any deviation of my instructions will result in immediate execution of your daughter. You will also be denied her remains for proper burial. Again, there's so much ridiculous stuff in this note that is being overly said. Any person that watches movies regardless knows that a ransom note is typically, listen to my instructions, or read my, well, no, they would typically say listen, to be honest, I think. Like, listen to my instructions. We have your daughter. We want blah, 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 X amount of money. Do this, or basically your daughter dies. And would be very basic. This thing is like someone wrote a freaking school project. And it's just throated it so absurd. Like, it's just a ridiculous note when you look at it. To me, like from the we to the eyes, like meaning how they say we, then it says I. From the female typing to the last paragraph saying John, John, John. Southern, again, like someone said, I remember, like, do you honestly think that someone from a freaking small foreign faction is going to sit there and say, use that Southern sense of yours, John? So, hold on a second. So where are we here? So it says, in the following section, did we just read that? Yes. There's no reason for a kidnapper to include language like this. Okay, it's overkill. It was way over the top. Who is the kidnapper trying to convince John Ramsey or themselves? The 2 gentlemen watching over your daughter do not particularly like you. Okay, again, that to me is something a female would say, not a male. Can you picture yourself ever saying that, Adam? You guys?
I can't put myself in the position of being in the home of someone and getting ready to, or having just unalived someone.
But it's one of those things, like I said, when you're looking at the whole context of it, to sit there and say like these two people looking over your daughter don't especially like you. Again, it just comes off as female in nature to me personally, not something that a guy writing a ransom note would say. But um, again, each to their own, right? This case isn't solved for a reason,
and anyone that goes, anyone that takes the life of a 6-year-old child doesn't think like normal people. So, they might have a childlike idea of of what the language they use. So so it's hard to even say whether it would be a male or female, in my opinion.
Yeah, see, and contrary to what I said on the last live, um, I am at the point where I do believe that this was definitely a family thing. I can't. Okay, I'll come back on here. So at first I was thinking kind of like what this person had put in here, that to me, this ransom note to me is projecting, that they're trying to project it like it's somebody that doesn't like John. Like they're trying to me to project it like it's someone that has a revenge against John, and putting in the, whatever small foreign faction, $118,000. To me, this is something I feel now that takes away from what truly did happen. What were you going to say? You were going to jump in there, Adam.
No, I mean, I disagree.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, one, they've been formally cleared.
Right. But I don't agree with that either.
And I understand that. I think that, clearly the Boulder police wanted to find a reason that the Ramseys did this, and I don't think the evidence is there. The DNA doesn't match. The people that actually were involved in this investigation, the DNA is not there, and the handwriting experts. I know that some say that it points toward the Ramsey, that Patsy can't be eliminated, but they also admit that 60% of the United States population can't be eliminated from that handwriting. So, to me, that makes it null and void.
What makes it null and void? Sorry, say that one more time, Adam.
The fact that that 60% of the United States population also can't be excluded from writing that note.
Who said
when
that?
you look at them, the same handwriting experts that said Patsy Ramsey can't be eliminated from it, they also admitted that the majority of the population of the United States can't be eliminated because of the similarities that are in the handwriting are so vague that they're the same similarities that most people share.
Yeah, but most people don't have a dead kid in their freaking basement.
Well, absolutely, but
and their handwriting could be similar. Yeah. So for me, after listening to a lot of the interviews and thinking truly, so my thoughts on this is that, okay, Gary Oliva, first of all, now I'm not going to put as much emphasis on the DNA anymore, because the DNA, I'm just going by what I've watched and what I've seen, is that the DNA, kind of like when they did a test on a pair of underwear that was unpackaged, they found DNA from the workers back in the China, wherever they were made.
Yeah.
Meaning that there was DNA when they did a test. I think that I don't feel like anyone should have been exonerated, to be honest with you, because I kind of agree with that Dr. Lee on the sense that, like, it could be something as simple as that it was a worker that like the DNA wasn't there.
But this is why you can't eliminate the DNA. And this is why there needs to be more testing of the DNA. Because if you look at the unredacted DNA report, and I, it's confusing to me because I'm not a DNA expert. So, when I'm trying to read through all of the markings and everything like that, it's confusing. But in the notes of the unredacted DNA report, it says that the DNA taken from underneath JonBenet's right and left hands, fingernails on her right and left hand, and the impression from inside the blood, inside the panties, it says that, the majority DNA sample is JonBenet's. And then it says the minority, the minor DNA sample can be eliminated, that it's not, and it lists, the Ramseys, it lists the few friends that are on there. So if it's a single DNA male profile, which it doesn't specify, it says if it's a single male DNA profile, how is the DNA under the fingernails and the panties the same if it's a factory worker?
One solved mystery, is that true? Because I remember listening to where they said that like underneath their fingernails could have been like 5 days old stuff, which is true. I mean, honestly,
I said they didn't specify. They said if it was a single DNA profile.
Yeah.
So if it's a single male profile, how does the same DNA from the fingernails and the panties match? If it's a factory worker, because it could be from the panties, but not the fingernails.
Well, the thing is that it's not like
and both sides of her long johns.
It's well, again, to me, it's one of those things. It depends really what you're listening to, because again, you have like the experts of Laura Richards, whatever his name was, Jim somebody I think, and then Dr. Lee, and then you have that really old guy, whatever his name was, and you're listening to them. And okay, you know what? I think what the bottom line for me is, it comes to this, like in the whole scheme of things, what pedophile in their right mind would leave a ransom note? That's something that is just one of those things that is really unheard of, that a pedophile would literally, pedophiles are there for a purpose. They want to do some harm to a child. They want to have whatever it is, intercourse. They want to have whatever. No pedophile, to me, is going to leave some stupid ass ransom note that even sounds like this. And they wrote it out, and it took them just to write it out by themselves. They did a test, and it took about just over 20 minutes just to write out exactly what was there. And so obviously if somebody's thinking about it, it's going to take them a lot longer to, think about all these stupid cliches and all this shit that they're spewing. This is the most ridiculous note to me throughout the whole entire thing. It really is. But meaning when I look at the full bubble of everything, it's like one of those things. The ransom note, no pedophile is going to leave a ransom note. They're going to go in there. They're going to harm that child. Maybe they're going to take that child. They're going to use that child.
What if when they wrote it, they didn't intend? What if when they wrote it, they still intended on kidnapping her?
Oh,
and something happened.
Do you honestly believe a pedophile is going to know about $118,000?
If they were in the house?
No, come on.
Here's the bottom line of what I'm saying is that, the exact reason that we're having this discussion is the reason that I think they need to further examine the DNA. Because when people say this is not a DNA case, I think that in 2023, with the technology and advancements that we have now, this case can be solved by DNA. And, if I'm wrong in my assessment that, this was an unknown male to the family, I'll admit that, but I want the DNA tested because I can't in good consciousness and from my own just gut say that the family had anything to do with this when I've seen too many things that point to the fact that this was an unknown intruder. And I think the DNA being tested again could clear that up.
Well, again, and if that ever happens, and so be it, right? If that ever happens, I don't know why, like this. Okay. So like I said, opposite of you now, I've totally changed my mind. I think that the only person that really had anything to benefit from this ridiculous note was the Ramseys for many reasons, many, actually. More reasons than I feel like an intruder did it. This note does not make sense on any level to me of why someone would write all this stuff. It has female, to me, things about it. But at the end of the day, why this isn't a cold case and why they don't hand it off and do every DNA possible. Like I believe one of the things, for instance, is the rope, that's that loopy thing, okay, around the paintbrush. And it's like they were testing that on that documentary I was watching. To see if they could pick up DNA from under it when he was, say, tying the rope, and they could. But to me, this case deserves everything, everything out in the open now. Here you go. Let's, like the perfect team, honestly. They had a great team that was put together, and John Ramsey didn't even want to talk to them, sadly.
I have to say, Shelley, they did not eliminate. If the Boulder police might have eliminated the intruder theory, but I mean, Lou Smith resigned from the case because of the fact that they were so focused on the family.
Well, but then you have that Steve Thomas that resigned because he believed that the family did it. I mean, Boulder police actually hired him, or who? Alex Hunter, I think.
The
Alex
DA,
Hunter.
the DA hired Lou Smith.
Yeah. So it's one of those things, right? Again, after reviewing everything, I was thinking to myself, for me, I'm looking at the big picture of this and this whole ransom note thing and things that make sense and don't make sense. And out of this whole thing, you have a family that has done, and I'm not saying for 100% for sure, but I'm just going by how I'm feeling about this at the moment from everything I've watched now. You have a family that has done the most ridiculous things. They have not only, okay, she read the letter a little bit down or whatever, calls the whatever. Now, they said that it is determined, but I don't know that it's factually determined about hearing Burke's voice on there. They basically, well, I was going to say, in that one they're showing it and like a lot of the TV stations were picking up on talking about that as well. I still will need to play that one for myself to see if I personally hear it. But in the whole big scope of things, I think to myself, would a pedophile write this note? Absolutely not. No pedophile is going to write this personal thing about use your Southern common sense, grow a brain, John. This, to me, note is geared to point towards someone with John.
Well, I don't mean to be argumentative, but what's any different in writing a ransom note? It can be to create torment to the family of the person you've killed. Look at the Gigolo Beach, so clearly those were sexually motivated crimes, and you have someone, I'm presuming Rex Heuermann, after he committed a few of the crimes, he called the family members and tormented them. So
right,
what's the motive there? I mean, when you are the kind of person that is going to commit a crime like this, clearly your thinking is not rational in the way that ours would be.
So for me personally, I wouldn't equate the two myself. I think that what Rex Heuermann did was absolutely disgusting. That could have done.
I just mean in the unnecessary aspect of
This whole note was unnecessary.
right.
I mean, no, sorry, the whole note was unnecessary to me, unless you're trying to cover something up, because it's the most ridiculous note, but yet it says a lot to me. Again, things that the Ramsey family did. Okay, first of all, if you lost your child, or if you found out that your child, I shouldn't say was kidnapped, would you literally send them off away from you, knowing that you just are learning that one of your children is kidnapped? Would you literally send him off to a friend? I wouldn't. I
Could
wouldn't
have
want
trusted
to
them.
on my site. But it's not just that. When I look at the compiling stuff of what the family did, the way that so John went down there, I think twice. Twice.
Yeah.
He went down there the one time. Okay, you wouldn't think it was odd the first time that a door that's never locked is locked all of a sudden. A room that Burke plays in all the time, plays with his train set. He wouldn't think that that was odd, that that door was locked. But then the second time he goes down, it's almost like, okay, well, nobody noticed the freaking door, whatever. So whatever. But like meaning. It's hard for me sometimes because it's easier for me when I'm reading stuff and I have it compiled in my head of all the different things. And that's what I want to do. I want to put all the reasons for why it looks like the family, and then the reasons, say what would make it look like it wasn't about the family. But I really go ahead.
Look at the staging. If you look at
Yeah.
the staging of how she was found, John Ramsey finding her eliminates all of the need for that staging.
Well,
which makes no
no.
sense. John Ramsey, why would they go to the lengths of putting the Barbie nightgown or the Barbie nightgown next to her, put it, and doing all of that? If he's gonna be the one that walks down there, picks her up, and carries her upstairs, they created a whole staging that was null and void if John Ramsey's the one that did it, or
Well,
Patsy.
but I could find easily an argument for that one as well. They said that he was gone for about an hour and a half, and then when he came back, it's like they said that he felt irritated, and instead of starting at the top, he started right at the bottom, and kind of like, I guess what they said was like, typically it's like, he was with someone. Like, I'm just thinking of all the reasons, because all the reasons as we've listened to them, like for instance, the flashlight. Right? They couldn't find any fingerprints on the batteries or the flashlight. And they did a sample test of that. And no one can seem to account for a pineapple bowl with freaking milk in it that literally one of the Ramseys, the killer is not going to sit there and go, hey, JonBenet, before I kill you, do you want me to freaking make you some pineapple and milk together and stuff like that? And then look at the way that Burke did not answer about the pineapple in the bowl. Meaning, if I keep compiling all the different things and then on top of it think, who would benefit from this stupid ransom note that they probably thought was good? To me, this is so personally writ by a female, first of all. And again, this has, like they say, that this definitely has like the female undertones to it. So let's just say that that was true. Okay, what other female is going to sit there and write this note typically? Maybe the housekeeper. Okay, maybe a housekeeper and her husband or something like that. If they had some sort of vengeance, that to me would be the next logical explanation of anyone that would know that the family enough to kind of make this type of thing. But again, I mean, I know that they were excluded from it. I'm not even sure of like why they were excluded, if it was because of DNA or because they had solid alibis. Not really sure on that part yet. Well, they said that it did have milk in it. That would mold. Where did it, Jams? Where did you get that from? Meaning I haven't heard that. And another thing I keep wondering about too is why didn't John Ramsey, why is it only in one interview that I heard that he talks about the 2 stops on the way home with JonBenet? It's like any time that he's having an interview in other ones, he never ceases to interject. Like, if I knew that I stopped at 2 people's homes And he clearly can't answer because, I mean, he just basically says that JonBenet fell asleep on the way home. But in the one interview, and I think this one was like way later, that he literally talks about the 2 different times that they stopped on the way home from the White's house to drop off gifts to
I
2
mean,
people. But he only ever says it once.
to me it would be because it's in his mind an insignificant they're insignificant things to an incredibly significant thing that happened at that time. Much like, you know, when we hear Kelsey and Becky Patty talking about Delphi, you know, their stories are a little different sometimes when they talk about the weekend leading up to the crimes, because I think this hugely significant thing happened, and so the things leading up to it can be misconstrued because they don't matter as much unless they do, of course.
Well, for me, Jams on that one. I mean, I've personally clearly heard them state that milk was in there, even when they did the reenactment of it. So I get it. If you're saying, well, you know, like I'm just looking at the image and that's what I'm getting from it, is that there was no milk in it. But you're also looking at a photo. You talk about the photocopy, or are you talking about the actual picture? Because I mean, obviously on the photocopy, it's gonna not come out as well. So again, I'm not to that point that I've sat there and went, "Ooh, is there milk in there or not?" Bottom line, there's a bowl of pineapple that's on the table. I doubt it's going to have been sitting there growing mold for a week. Myself personally, but at the end of the day, it's just like I said. This note is just so female written to me, and there's no one else that would benefit from writing this note that would write something as stupid as this, that is pointing so many things towards John. Everything's trying to point away from the Ramseys, to me, but pointing at John. And there was the Mr. and Mrs. Ramsey at first. Again, everything from the notepad, and that they said that the pen and the notepad were put back in the exact places that they were from. Do you honestly think that a freaking intruder is going to give 2 shits about that? And at the end of the day, though, why would you leave a ransom note and then kill the child? It doesn't make sense. Like, why would an intruder do that? Why would any intruder, knowing full well that as soon as they see that note, why is it laid there right for Patsy to come down those stairs? The stairs that someone, obviously themselves or somebody else, knew that she came down those stairs. Why would any intruder sit there and go, yeah, you know what? I'm going to put out this freaking ridiculous ransom note, but yeah, I'm going to kill her. It doesn't make sense though. Like, who would do that? You're just going to kill a child? You're going to kill the child. You're going to take the child? You're going to take the child. Why would you leave this ridiculous ransom note that literally talks about John Ramsey and uses these stupid cliches in there? Like, you could, like, when it gets to the end, that's the part that is definitely always bugged me, because of how many times it said John, grow a brain, you know, blah, 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 John. So that's my thoughts personally on where I'm standing with this, is that I feel like, to me, if I was to look logically at the big scope of it, well, Adam, go ahead. So I just said, why would anyone leave a ransom note when they killed the girl and leave this ridiculous ransom note? So, like, why? What would be the sense of it? What would be the sense? Knowing that all they had to do was go down to the basement and they would find her at some point anyway. So why would somebody leave a ransom note?
Well, if you're the parents, probably leave the ransom note if she's in the basement.
Because they're trying to deter from what happened.
Why would it be no different? Why would it be any different if they just called and they said, "Oh my gosh, she's missing"? I mean, I think we're talking about a completely illogical event, and trying to put logic to it.
Mine would be not because of bedwetting. Mine would be
no.
The thing that makes sense for me If it was, it would be Burke. It would be Burke. It would have to be Burke if I was to think that the Ramseys, that this was revolving around the Ramseys.
And for
It would
years,
have,
for years, that's what I believed.
yeah.
And I don't now at all.
And I didn't. And then I was just sitting here yesterday and I was looking at all the different things about this note that
Right.
that this is a totally female tones, that this is
Okay, well,
something.
if you're John Ramsey, you
Yeah.
know, Patsy's gone, so we can't, you know, she can't
Yeah,
answer to
I know.
this whether, you know. So if you're John Ramsey, I've always, like I said, I for years and years thought this was Burke, and that, you know, John and Patsy covered it up to protect the child that they had left. My opinion has changed. And if you're John Ramsey, it's 27 years later. Why are you publicly advocating for DNA to be retested when in 1996 we did not understand DNA very well, you know?
Correct.
So why would you be out there publicly advocating for more testing to be done on something you can't control the results of if you know the outcome? If John Ramsey knew that Burke was responsible for this, why would he publicly be advocating so hard for
I get you.
there to be more testing?
Mhm.
If he had even an inkling of a fear that it could come back to his son.
You know,
I mean,
get you.
Burke was eliminated from the DNA DNA samples that have been taken. So
Well, I mean, at the end
further
of the
DNA testing is going to, of course, be more precise at this point. And if you're John Ramsey and you know that Burke is guilty, why would you want that done?
this for me, again, and it's not like what you're saying is not making sense, right? Um, for me, when I look at personally, like just the whole of everything, it boils down to this note. And why would anyone write such a ridiculous note, but yet know so much about the family in a way in this note? You can see that that's there just by the stuff that use that good Southern sense, get well rested, blah, 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 attache case. Who the fuck uses that word? Well, people do. I mean, it was in the movie Mission Impossible, like I told you, and stuff like that. And it is what I call a snobbery term, like the attache. The family was cleared by DNA within. See, again, I would have to believe anymore that I believe that the DNA just simply isn't somebody that's just not on file, and that DNA doesn't actually mean as much to me when I'm listening to it. To be honest with you,
But I mean, when you look at the markers, I mean, it compares the markers they found to and it shows in the report the actual markers of each person that they eliminated. They don't match. So I mean, I know it doesn't matter as much, you know, but the DNA that they found, in, like I said, in different places, it lists every place they found the DNA. There are too many questions. I mean, it eliminated Burke, it eliminated John, it eliminated Patsy.
And again, I'm going to disagree with the whole part about the DNA, because I think that there's myself so many things out there that are showing that DNA could simply not be like anyone that's even part of it that has it. And honestly, I hope one day that DNA does prove that this case, or like prove to be someone. I do. But and it's not like I've completely eliminated the whole intruder thing. I just feel at this moment for myself, when I look at the whole about why would somebody leave this ransom note, and what did the Ramseys do to okay, people say mother wouldn't do that and stuff like that, but let's just imagine if one of your child did do that type of thing. And you did cover it up. It's not like that's not unheard of. I mean, we see the wackadoodle stuff that people do all the time with their kids. It's just that a normal thinking human being, that hasn't gone through any of this stuff isn't going to sit there and think that we're going to ever do something like this. I know it seems absurd. Don't get me wrong. I know it seems absurd to think that Patsy or John, they do think that the blow, like I remember when they were talking that they said that the blow was actually what killed her, not this, that meaning she was already brain dead from the strike of the blow. At least it was said in the one documentary. I'm just going to say, like I said,
Right.
when I think about it, it's the note for me that doesn't make sense, because no pedo like Gary Oliva is going to sit there, write this freaking note as if he knows the family. He's not. He doesn't know the family. And even if you take DNA out of it, I'm sorry, that freaking joke of a court TV with that Mazzella Martin on it. Sorry, Mazzella Martin. I know that you believe and Jason Jensen, and that you guys are all on your trail of believing that Gary Oliva is JonBenet's thing. Again, I think that's kind of like with Delphi, when Brian James, whatever his name was, Chadwell came out. I think it's one of those instances to me. It's going to come, it's going to go.
I mean,
And
remember, it was ruled by the coroner that it was ligature strangulation that killed her. That the blow came before she died.
So,
what killed her though was the strangulation.
well, first of all, Gems, there was about 8-9 pages missing. All I'm saying is that again, this is one of those cases like Delphi, that when people dig their heels in, they kind of dig their heels in. I'm not there where I'm digging my heels in. I'm there where I'm looking at what makes the most sense to me after listening to everything I have. And it doesn't mean that it's not going to change again. Don't get me wrong. All I know is that for me, when I've listened to what I've listened to, and I've listened to freaking a week and repetitively listened to these interviews, it's one of those things. It comes always back to this note about who would leave this note. Now, my first guess would have been the housekeeper, and that's instantly who I would have thought of. Was not the Ramseys. I would have thought of the housekeeper, somebody that had inside information and knowledge about the Ramsey family to make a comment, like you said, Southern, whatever, and stuff like that. This to me is someone that personally has written this note towards the Ramseys. It to me, like, this is not no small foreign faction, because this note to me is just a fucking ridiculous. Like, honestly, it's so when you look at this ransom note, I don't even put any, like, besides the fact of what's written inside of it. The ransom note to me, is just a bunch of bullshit. It's so weird, right? Because you're going from small foreign faction, you're going to attaché case, then you're going to about being beheaded, and then you're going on about like I said, John, then you're going from we to I. This person clearly did not know how to write a ransom note whatsoever, and it's so ridiculous to me that anyone would sit there and pre-write this. They could have. I mean, again, so the first people that would have came to my mind would have been the housekeeper and possibly, the husband to go with it, but they were cleared. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, that the person that the housekeeper was with, I think he sued some guy that wrote a book, because I think it was in the Ramsey book, because they named him in there, because that's the one where they got a phone call from, I think, Linda, saying that he had come home all weird and stuff like that, acting strange. I don't know. There's a lot of strange shit going, like, with this case. I'm not gonna lie.
I agree with you. The ransom note is completely confounding. I just, I have to look at the scientific parts of what we know, and that's why I want there to be more scientific parts.
Well, this case, first of all, again, this case should be at the highest level to me of, okay, it's 27 freaking ass years. If there's still, if that knot is still in that freaking, garrote thing that they used, undo it. Undo it. Right? For any DNA that could be underneath the loop and stuff like that, whatever. I don't know. All I know is that it feels like there could be a lot more done. And it just seems like everyone just wants to, meaning everyone just wants to, not everyone, but a lot of people just want to keep pushing this case down. Like, no, don't want to open it up. No.
Personally, I think that, I think this isn't this case. And, if you think the family was involved, that's fine. I think that the Boulder police, well, Linda Arnett said, she said that she thought John Ramsey was responsible. Steve Thomas said he thinks Patsy was responsible. I think Boulder police clearly decided the family was guilty, even though they had DNA evidence saying that they weren't. And I think that it stopped them from investigating a lot of things. I think it created a tunnel vision for the police. And I think that the tunnel vision is the worst possible thing you can do in an investigation, because I think that it makes you blind to other possibilities. And I think that's why we're 27 years later.
Honestly, I think it's a combination. I think the Ramseys literally created a lot of this mess themselves. I do.
The Ramsey, I agree. I agree that the Ramseys, some of the actions that they took after the crime, led to some of this delay. I think that, while I think their friend that, was a lawyer that gave them the advice of getting attorneys, I think that their intentions were good. I think that it created a lot of I don't know, a lot of suspicion in the police's mind. But clearly the suspicion was already there. So I don't know, maybe it was good. I don't know.
Well, I was going to say, we all know with cases, in a sense, that they look from the inside out. They're going to, of course, look at the mom and dad first. That's just a given. So was it really a big shocker? I don't know. What I kind of see here a little bit is with Patsy and John Ramsey, a little bit of upper class snobbery in that sense of, they got their lawyers, they got money, and someone said this. I'm sorry. As a parent myself, I don't care. You know what? Test me. I'll take a freaking polygraph. I do not give a shit. I want you to find. That's not what they did. They just backed up behind a lawyer because somebody said that they're looking at them. Great. Of course they're going to be looked at, but I wouldn't be hiding behind no lawyer, money or not. I'd be sitting there myself, like, this is a child that is murdered, their child. And they're sitting there hiding, to me, behind a lawyer. I wouldn't even give a shit about that. If I'm so innocent, ask me whatever you want. Yep. No problem. Take a polygraph. Absolutely. No problem. Here, you want anything from me? You got it. This is their child. And yet they're the ones, to me, that are hiding that they did. They hid behind a wall, in a sense.
But then again, you have to also look at the fact that, they literally had to go. They were being, the Boulder police tried to hold their daughter's body from even being buried in the first week.
They wouldn't come in. Yeah.
But they'd already talked to them on the 26th, 27th, and 28th.
No, but they didn't go in for their separate their things. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, the Boulder police totally fucked it up too. But I feel
like they were immediately given reason to feel like they shouldn't cooperate.
But no, but
they were going through a horrible traumatic experience.
Like anybody else in this world.
But no one goes through that until they go through it.
No, but at the end of the day, right? Again, anyone that is like just a regular class citizen, even probably other people that are probably got money and wealth like that. Normal people will sit there and they'll do everything they can as a parent. And when you don't do that, of course, you're going to look suspicious regardless. But at the end of the day, this is about your child. So to sit there and hide behind a lawyer because they looked at them like because they were suspicious, you know what I mean? Because of course they're going to look at them. Of course. But honestly, this just really comes off as white privilege crap to me that they literally should have been there. It wasn't about them. It was about their daughter. If they cared so much about their fucking daughter to me, like, no offense to you, of course, if they cared so much about as a parent, doesn't fucking matter what comes at you. If you're guilty of something, you're going to hide behind something. If you're not guilty, besides being plain stupid, okay? Being plain stupid, if they were plain stupid and listen to their lawyer, but it's just common sense that they know that you look at the parents, you look at the siblings, you look at the freaking aunts and uncles, you look at every friend that's around them. So within a couple of days, they lawyered up because the police were thinking that they had something to do with it. Of course they would. Of course they would. And so for John being so smart, to me, for John being so smart, really, you pick up your kid from a crime scene. Okay, that one I can't really judge him too much on, even though I would think that if he was, you know what? Again, we would have to be in that person's shoes because no matter how someone is so smart, we're talking about brain smarts versus something of a tragedy, which people can do different things. But I'm sorry, but to me, they put the suspicion on themselves. And so I blame the Colorado police for being sloppy. Absolutely. I mean, but honestly, again, who sits there and freaking hangs up the phone from 911? Hey, Whites, can you come on over? Hey, Fleets, can you come on over? Hey, Pasture, can you come on over? And that's why it just seems all ridiculous when I think about it. I'm thinking like, who would do all these things? And yes, Alexa, when she has time, she will come on. Again, she believes that Patsy Ramsey wrote the note as well. Again, each to their own, really. Again, what I'm in the process of doing, right? Mostly besides listening to, of course, these things, is I'm personally in the process of literally going through the handwriting of Patsy Ramsey to really, for my own self, determine if I really believe that she actually wrote the note with all the different samples on there. I know what experts have done, but okay, this isn't rocket science. This note is long enough that if you look at many examples of her writing, there should be quite an amount of similar things. But there's one thing I can tell you about this note is that the person who wrote it, Alexa, Adam, do you believe that the person that wrote this note was using their wrong hand at some points or throughout it?
No, I never have.
No. Does anybody else? Because there's very telltale signs. So either the person is really nervous writing the note, um, or they are using their wrong hand. Now it's so funny because Patsy Ramsey, and again, said that she wasn't ambidextrous. Um, but whereas other people keep talking like she is. And it's one of those things, either she's lying, you know. But there's definitely some questions that I personally would have that I haven't seen been answered, at least in anything that I've personally come across, um, with it. But there's distinct signs in here, and we got to get going here soon too. Um, they weren't hiding; they were answering. Again, each to our own stances on where we're at. Like I said, my stance might change again. At the end of the day, all I know is, regardless, I like to do my homework myself to come up with my own conclusions and what makes sense. Just like you, Jams, or
if we all agreed, I think that it would. I think the reason that we don't all agree is one of the reasons that we're still talking about this case 27 years later.
Yeah.
Because I think that, you have so many people that think one thing and so many people think another. And there are things to support both sides, and so that's one of the reasons it's so confusing.
Yeah. Well,
I'm just trying to look at this
yeah.
totality of everything, and
Yeah, the same.
follow
And
it.
yet we're coming up with different. Like me and Adam were on the same page last week. This week we're on different pages. Who knows what next week?
But I still respect. Sonny.
Absolutely.
I still respect what where you're looking. I just disagree at this point as far as what, and I mean, I don't think that even the similarities in the handwriting that much, but
Well,
yeah.
one of the telltale signs for me about either this person was shaking, is because
Look at the L's.
look at the L's. Yeah. It makes me so badly want to play my TikTok video.
The one thing I agree with that person on. Look at the L's.
Look at the L's. Okay. Wait a second. Hold on. Are you saying that you agree with Mozelle Martin on the L?
No, I've always said the lowercase L's are so squiggly that they've always stood out to me. I've said that since the first stream we did about this.
Yeah, but Gary Olivia's L's weren't squiggly.
No, they weren't. Which I don't think it was Gary Olivia.
Yeah. But
neither are Patsy Ramsey's.
Well, I was gonna say, right? So that's why when I look at this, like there's words like that. Okay. This thing looks totally like using the wrong hand in that word that. That or else when they're writing it, they're purposely kind of it's like three things. They're either using the wrong hand, that they're
Or they
purposely
just killed a 6-year-old girl and left her in the basement of the house.
Yeah. But it's the thing is that you see very fluid writing in a lot of the letters. And then all of a sudden you'll get this one like a D. Okay, no one makes a freaking D like that normally, okay? But it's not just the D by itself. Like, look at the freaking W. Like, again, nobody does W's like that and then makes D's like that unless you're freaking 80 years old, like, honestly, no one makes D's and like, mean that there's so many letters in here where there's an inconsistent way, even in some of their F's that they've done. Like even in these L's right here, for instance. So if you take the L's, takes the D's, take the W's, take this really ass weird that. But if you look at it, there's like look at this W. Like who the heck writes like that? You normally an 80-year-old would write like brr, like do you know what I
Or
mean?
someone on something.
But the thing is that to me it goes from this is why I have a hard time with this. I believe a female wrote it. But I have a hard time with did the person, it's almost like again, it's like part of their words are fluid in a sense. Like
So I want to say, Shelley, correct me if I'm wrong, but I know that we've been going back and forth about the partial DNA thing. In order to be included into the CODIS system, you have to have a full DNA profile. And so the fact that the unknown male's DNA is in CODIS means there was a complete profile. I mean, you can easily find that information out. CODIS, from my understanding, does not include partial DNA profiles. It only includes full profiles.
I was going to say, I think that they said they only needed like 2 cells. Now, I remember something in the one video where they were talking about markers. And back in the day in like 6, it was like 4 markers or something like that. Whereas kind of like in today's DNA, it's like 14 markers. Whatever that all means, I don't know. There's still a lot. There's still a lot more I need to listen to.
And maybe I don't mean complete. Maybe I mean they have to have a significant enough amount of markers to be put into the CODIS system.
So, we're gonna go here, you guys, in just a few minutes. But Adam, what do you think about the fact that it's been said, and I think this is what Shelley's talking about as well, is that when John kind of went away or whatever at some point, but one of the detectives said that they heard John talking to his pilot and arranging to, unless he heard him wrong, but arranging to make plans to leave with the pilot.
I've heard two different things, and I don't know. I've heard that he called to cancel the reservation that they had that morning.
Yeah.
And then I've also heard that John say that when they were asked to leave the house, they arranged they called the pilot to take them to Atlanta, because that's where home was. So I don't know. I haven't looked into that significantly.
Yeah.
Both of those
Honestly,
sound plausible to me, though, because I mean, if you're being told you have to leave your house and you don't know where to go, I don't know what's going to go through their head. And they did have travel arrangements for that morning, so it's also not inconceivable that they would have called to cancel them. I don't know.
We'll come back next week and see where I'm at that point. Honestly, this is like Delphi. Like, really, it's one of those ones. Sorry, guys, it's really hot here. It's one of those ones that, honestly, you can easily flip to the sides. But to me, after I was thinking about it, I'm just like, like, I mean, after watching interviews, and stuff like that with John and Patsy Ramsey, and in your head, you don't want to ever think that a parent would do such a thing. But if there was a reason, in this particular case, why would it be done? To me, that would have to be because of Burke. That would be the only reason if it was within the household. Now, in saying that, 49, so 36 believe Patsy Ramsey. 3% only think it's John, and that's in this live. 12% Olivia, and no friggin' clue. And I think that's kind of the gist of where it really lies, is that you have this big portion of people that believe that Patsy Ramsey wrote this letter, and you have the other portion that really doesn't have a clue. And again, it just really becomes about look at it yourself, right? Obviously,
Exactly. And even if we disagree, like Shelley, you and I have talked, and I don't understand DNA fully. Neither of us are experts, but I respect you and love you. So, even though we might disagree on who we think was responsible for this,
it's kind of
why we're here.
Yeah, I mean, I can see some of the things that Shelley is saying because that's from certain things, interviews and stuff that she's watched. I can see that as in some of the things that she's putting, just like myself, right? Like literally been watching everything, Dr. Oz, frickin'. They have some of them like on what's her name, Lisa, somebody that had the talk show back in the day.
Lisa Gibbs or Lisa Gibson.
Yeah. And and then you have Patsy Ramsey's sister calling into the show, and you have a friend of Patsy Ramsey's, and then you have ones, like meaning, so it was said, so for instance, during that one, the documentary that I'm talking about with that Laura Richards, whatever that one was called. Anyways, part 1, part 2. So Fleet was basically like they were friends, right? And he's actually the one that told John again to quit hiding behind lawyers and shit. But Fleet talked with those people, but he didn't want to go on camera. So they never really talked about what he said, but he felt like he had a vital information. Now, this wouldn't be stuff for the Ramseys. This would be against the Ramseys, in a sense. So I'm curious to this day, like after listening to that, because again, they went around to the different houses, and I'm sorry, but some of these people out there in this fucking world need to fucking get some fucking balls and whatever. And just, like, it just pisses me off. Oh yeah, we don't talk about that here. You snotty bitch. Fucking start talking about it, okay? Like, do you want to solve somebody's murders and give information or not? Can you help? Is there anything, But everyone's like, yeah, like it's almost like that little town that like almost gathers together. It's like, no, we're not talking about this anymore. Really? If it was your child, lady, would you be saying the same thing? That sorry, nobody wants to talk about it. Nobody wants to give it information. So I was kind of amazed how people get like that, to be honest with you. I guess it's because I'm a person that I will fight for the truth and I will fight for what's right. And when I see, I'm sorry, pussies like that answering a door and going, no, we don't talk about that here, da 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 da. And to see that many people saying that, I was actually in shock. I mean, come on, it's been 27 years and you can't open up your mouth to say a few things that you might know or something. It was amazing to me how many people didn't want to talk about it. And I'm just like, again, until it happens to your own, then you'll be singing a whole different tune. But that's the difference of this world. We have all different personalities. We have the quiet ones. We have the ones that don't want to involve themselves in things. We have the fighters in this world. I mean, it is what makes this world unique. And if we all thought the same way and did the same thing, it'd be a boring ass world, I suppose. But I just couldn't believe how many people didn't want to talk. And John Ramsey didn't want to talk to them. And I was kind of confused on that one. You have some of the best people out there trying to, unless there was some sort of animosity there, of why he didn't want to. But I feel like John Ramsey and Patsy, I feel like they played kind of like their game, the game that they wanted to play, in a sense, like meaning that they were kind of dictating. And then you had the Colorado, going, yeah. Like how they said, treat them with kid gloves in a sense, type of idea that they're victims. And granted, but doesn't mean that they don't get looked at too. But I don't know. It's just, this case is like a whirlwind of thoughts, to be honest with you. They only spoke about 25% of the neighbors, and neighbors that lived across the street was shocked. She had never been approached. I don't know. They were just showing that part in it where she was calling, and she's like, and then Laura's kind of going like, oh, this is getting old, right? At the end of the day, there's only going to be so many people. But apparently John and Patsy Ramsey knew a lot of people, of course. They let people in their house. I think they said there was about 2,000 people that came through their house at Christmas. Anyways, let's do last thoughts on this.
Yeah.
And, it's a very passionate case for a lot of people. And for myself, it's kind of like, again, intriguing to go back through this case and see what changed between then when I knew about the case to what's there now. And
yeah, it is fascinating.
Yeah, Raldo, totally.
Oh.
So anyway, last minute thoughts for you, Adam.
My opinion has not changed since the last time we talked, but this case is crazy, and I'll continue to look at anything, and if I change my mind, I'll of course let everyone know that.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Shelley. I don't know about this. Did the Ramseys ever take a polygraph? I don't believe so.
They did. Yeah.
Oh, they did. Okay.
Yeah. And Patsy's were inconclusive. They weren't. She didn't fail them. But you know what? I was just watching a documentary about a different case yesterday, and someone passed a polygraph with flying colors, and then was proved to have been not telling the truth. So that's why they're not allowed in court.
I know. It's no different than Kagan Klein and Garrett Kurtz failing their polygraph test. And it's one of those things that you take it with a grain of salt, knowing that it really just depends, Yeah. John said he wouldn't take one. Don't know if he did or not.
He did and took and passed.
See, nothing I've ever watched so far have I heard about. I think I heard the only thing there
was a debate, but there was a debate on who was going to conduct it. And so
Oh, right. Yeah. Yes.
so the Ramseys hired the person that that invented the, I can't remember the, I'm sorry, it's midnight or 1
Right.
a.m.
I get it.
They hired like the person that invented some sort of polygraph testing. I can't remember. Once on mystery, you're right. He said he would not take one administered by the Boulder Police or the FBI. But
okay, so
no, they are not accepted in U.S. courts, Sherry.
So 1 or 2. Do you think this case will ever be solved? 1 for yes, 2 for no. Adam?
1.
Do you think this case will ever be solved? No?
1.
Yeah, did I say that was yes or no?
Yes. I think it will be solved.
Okay,
and I think it's going to require DNA. I think it's going to require the DNA to be tested again. That's what they created. That's right. They hired the guy that created the polygraph. Thank you. I didn't want to. I thought that's what it was, but I didn't want to say that because I wasn't.
Okay. Okay.
How about you, Sonny? 1 or 2?
Torn, to be honest with you. I'm going to say 1 for hopefulness. I think that if they like deem the case is closed, like cold, whatever, and hand it, I think that the case really just needs to be the DNA needs to be freaking just DNA the fuck out of it, and
Right.
I think that that again that they should re-investigate the whole thing and whatever they do. I just feel like the case should be handed over to different people and kind of like, here you go,
Yep.
like,
I agree.
I mean, it's one of those things. You have this great person named Lou Schmidt who has solved a lot of cases, and you can tell
90%, yeah.
And he believed in the fact that it was an intruder, more so over the, he's not a dumb dude, right? So you have to give this guy credit for his accomplishments that he's done. Doesn't mean he's always right, no. But he got to know the Ramseys and the different things. So unless he was being totally deceived, right, by the Ramseys or John Ramsey and whoever else, like I said, this guy's an experienced person.
Right.
And yet he still couldn't find the answer.
Well, yeah. I mean, and think about it. Is one of the reasons this case is not solved because so many people have never ever been able to look past the family.
Yeah. John Ramsey is going to probably bite the dust and never know the answer to that. I don't know. The main witness is GJ was discredited, and the DA knew it. That is why. Who's GJ? I don't know initials for the case. Sorry, if you're talking Delphi, different story. I don't know the initials for it. Do you know who it is? GJ?
No.
Come on now, Jams. Type it out. Oh, grand jury. The main witness is the grand jury. Was discredited, and the GJ knew it. Yeah. It was so funny when you're listening to John talking, and then he's saying, like, we were never indicted by the grand jury and blah, blah, blah. Well, that came to bite him in the ass later, didn't it? Because
the
again,
the grand jury also did not have the DNA evidence that was later revealed.
Right. I think that was pretty deceptive on their part for making people not even letting people know that, yeah, the grand jury, did it there. But, I thought that was, they didn't learn that till 14 years later, they said.
But like I said, but the grand jury also did not have the evidence they did not have the DNA evidence.
Yeah. Well,
like when they made that decision, they did not know that the family had been eliminated by DNA.
It's one of those things. I mean, maybe justice, maybe there was some angels looking out for them and was like, nope, they didn't have anything to do with it. So, they kind of like skated by on that one in a sense. Had some angels looking
And
out for them, or maybe not.
Shelley, Lou Schmidt talked to the grand jury and they still got indicted. Lou Schmidt was restricted to 1 hour of testimony of his presentation, and he had an 8-hour presentation. So his evidence was very limited to what they saw.
Yeah. Again, what a kerfuffle of a case.
Exactly.
We'll see where I'm at next week. I don't like to be indecisive. I don't. But I also am very much of a realist. And I know that there's two different ways of looking at this, either the Ramseys or an intruder. I'm sorry, but as for a pedophile, I'm just not buying that whole pedophile thing with the ransom note. That one I'm just personally not buying. Meaning, if there was something that came to light, but there's not. The two main things here to me is Ramses or someone personally that knew the Ramseys that had come in. Those are my two things. As for the pedophile thing, honestly, and I'm usually one to sit there and go, "Oh yeah, pedophile." If there was one, in this case, I'm not feeling it at all. Feeling the whole pedophile thing, especially with a ransom note. Sorry. So to me, Madame Moselle or whatever her name is, I'm sorry, but I feel like you guys need to go back to your drawing board and don't embarrass yourselves ever again by putting up those ridiculous freaking layovers. That was the most ridiculous. Like, I was embarrassed for them. Okay. Again, no offense, each to their own, but I literally felt embarrassed watching those layovers that they were trying to conclude that looked the same. I'm like, a bit like, do you know what I mean? Like, at least when you look at Sina Wong's, hey, you can at least go, okay, I get it. Okay, now let me go look for these myself. But I felt so embarrassed watching the layovers that they were trying to even show that. And the thing is, okay, you know what? Sorry, I know we're gonna go, but you know what even made me laugh is when I was watching Dr. Oz, I think it was, and I think and our friend, our best friend Nancy Grace, yeah, when she was on, and that guy Mike comes with a stack of letters, and I truly believe that Mike feels that it was Gary.
Oh yeah, that's
And
what I
she
was
goes,
talking about the other night.
yeah. And what was funny was when Nancy Grace was going through it, and she's like, "This guy just types in or writes in caps." And remember, I said that too. I was like, every time you look at something, it's in caps. And this letter here, this this comparison here, there is nothing. There is nothing in this at all besides that he uses the A repetitively, which in the ransom note they don't. There is nothing here to me that shows that Gary, between typically writing in caps, I think it's just one of those things, Adam, where somebody's inserting themselves, and then I wouldn't doubt that. I wouldn't doubt that Gary literally practices while he has all the time to do so. That he literally
yeah, like I said, I think
writing notes
that
around it.
Gary's obsessed with JonBenet. He had autopsy photos of her in his possession when he got arrested. I think he had a fixation on her, and he is a pedo, or pedo.
Oh.
But
yeah.
Yeah.
I just think it's one, like I said, I at some point here when I'm listening to it, I want to do like two lists here. All the things that I feel and are for, in a sense, for that the Ramseys had something to do with it, and versus what would make sense for the intruder. But it's just kind of like, I don't just try to do things overnight. There's no possible way. I like to take my time doing things. And right now I'm kind of working on the lettering, but because I don't just want to go, oh, well, I'm not going to use just Sina Wong's. I'm going to use my own eyes and my own thoughts and my own, but knowing that I'm bright enough to know exactly what I need to do for my own self to draw a conclusion. And if I can't draw a conclusion that any of them wrote it, then I simply can't. you know. But anyways, you know, I love
Lacey,
stuff.
I was talking about Gary Olivia.
Oh, yeah, Gary. Oh. And if you know, like, I mean, I don't want to butcher the lady, Mademoiselle or whatever her name is, or Moselle Martin, sorry, Mademoiselle. You know, but I'm sorry again. No offense, but I think to anyone that saw that, I would like to think that they were embarrassed as I was looking at the what this is supposed to look like in this. How many times have I done layovers? You know, on someone's face, and we all know who KD, and it virtually could fit in way closer than that freaking letters did. Like, it's ridiculous. If you know, people are so susceptible to things, and when Vinny was like, "Whoa," right? I was like, dude, you literally, you guys don't vet shit on your channel. You don't give a crap who comes on. No offense, Vinny, because obviously you guys are there for ratings and views, and you know, not to say he doesn't care about cases and stuff like that, but come on. I mean, the real reason behind it is they don't give a shit who comes on their show. If they have something to talk about that they want to propagate to the media because it's going to draw in views and stuff like that, they're going to do it. They don't care. They don't care if you literally don't have any PhDs or this or that or stuff like that. Like, I'm not kidding. That's very true. And when Pat Brown says it herself, same thing. I know that because I talked about fricking the guy that was showing off the white Elantra monsters under the bed, you know, saying that that car didn't match, and how, like, I was embarrassed that News Nation would even put that up there, but I didn't realize that literally that News Nation, Court TV, and all those different things, they don't really give a shit what your true background is. If they have a story, they'll just invite you on. They won't do no background check on you. They don't care. They're just there to propagate a story, you know. Reddit stories typically, right, News Nation? Exactly. If there's one thing I know, it's definitely that the news, again, it's like little peons, right? Everyone always believes the news, but the news only puts out there what they want to put out there. They don't seek the truth. They just seek a story, you know. But there are people that still really do care. But I mean, honestly, let's get real. The media is really like a freaking National Enquirer and stuff like that. Just some of them handle themselves in a better manner on how they put their news out. But we saw the same thing, right? Hey, Adam, when it came to like Prince Harry and stuff like that, or Prince Charles, who was it? Prince Andrew, right? It's kind of like, no, you can't talk about Prince Andrew because you're going to get the repercussions if you do, right? And so everything is just like little peons in this world. And then there's the truth fighters. Anyways, hey, Adam, ready to go? Yeah, it's probably going, yeah, I got to go to bed. Ready to go, buddy? Yeah, I'm talking to you, Adam. Hello?
Oh, I was muted. Sorry.
Oh, well, let's just quickly do this one more time. Anyways, so that's just another last minute happy birthday to Sherry, who's in here. And again, so happy birthday, happy 60th birthday. And again, thanks to all you guys for the thing that I like about the people that are in here too is that you guys, like Adam said the other day, is that you guys are engaged, you know, in the stories, in talking about it, and interacting and stuff like that. So it's better than having people in here that don't give a crap whatsoever. You know, again, when you're talking about a story, you're talking about it because you care about it. So we thank you guys for that. And again, Adam, I know you need to go. I know we've been doing a couple long streams lately. I guess we're making up for the lack of not doing as many. Yeah. So other than that, I guess we'll bid adieu.
Hey, we'll be back on Monday.
Yeah, we don't know what we're talking about then for sure either. I'm sure this is going to be part of it. Yeah. Yeah, and again, when Alexa has time, right?
Right.
yeah, so she's going to be going on vacay, I think. And I don't know. I talked to Alexa, but again, when she has time, she'll have time. I'm looking forward to that as well. And I never did get an email from anyone claiming to from that other email. So I don't know who
I
sent
didn't
that
get any more
email.
either.
It was, yeah, I'm not sure if it was Jams or One Solved Mystery, but somebody sent an email saying that they wanted to come on a live, join us to talk about it. So whoever that was, like I said, you've been answered back. So if you, I don't know who it is because it's literally leaving off with a different name than what I'm seeing in here. So I'm not really sure who it is. Anyways,
And Jams, it's a criming shame at gmail.com.
it's here, we'll put up the birthday thing. We'll take this off screen. It's right up there. A criming shame at gmail.com. True Crime Aspen is like I said, so Adam doesn't see the email at criming shame. I only see that. Adam sees
You
what
can always
on here.
CC it to both of us.
Yeah, exactly. Somebody wants to say into something, just CC it to us. And again, and thanks to you guys to the donations tonight as well. So I don't want to forget that. Thank you for everyone that donated to our booze fund. I appreciate it. Yeah, running out of lip gloss too. Getting low on that, guys. I only got about 30 left. Okay. Anyways, we're gonna head out of here, you guys. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you,
Again,
everyone.
yeah, my husband needs to get to bed and Adam has to work tomorrow and stuff like that. Adam, you were so cute. Of course, Lacey had to get that in there before we left.
Thank you, Lacey.
I'll just seal it off with Adam. God, you're ugly.
Thank you, Sonny.
Sonny, you're beautiful. Oh, wow. I'll take that back, Adam. You're gorgeous. Okay, guys. You guys take care. Happy birthday again to Sherry. Thank you guys. One Solved Mystery, Shelly. Everyone that's been in here, Lacey. Quit flirting. Quit flirting, Lacey. Gets old, okay? Thanks, guys. Okay. And yeah, you guys take care, Jams. Again, take care. Diana, everybody else, support with Steffa. I think that's it. Anyways, we're going to go to our outro. Yeah. And Red Mustang. Okay. We're going to go to our outro. Bye, guys. This is Sunny Justice and Aspen Connor from It's a Criming Shame, wishing you all a good night.